Perfect Timing Podcast is now live. What's up, everybody? Good morning, everybody. I'm going to give me a poll. Some of the people may already know. Some people could see the thumbnail. I don't know if you guys wanted to be surprised or not, but this particular verdict, we didn't watch it like that. So we coming in hot and ready like Little Caesars right now. So good morning, everybody. It's the Perfect Timing Podcast. My name is Perfect. I'm simulcasting live from 3 locations on StreamYard. We on Perfect Timing Podcast. We also on Perfect Timing Podcast Live. I'm also on Facebook under Patrick Potter. Right now, I'm getting up a poll. I want to know if you guys feel like the jury came back with the right decision. Did the jury make the right decision? Anybody want to help me out? How do you spell decision? KNC and Red in the building. What's up, bro? Way to the Virginia. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Hey, Ken, what's on the menu? What you eating? What you drinking? What you watching? Is you watching Friday After Next? Is you watching Jingle Jangle? Is it Jingle All the Way? What's the Christmas movie? Is it You'll Shoot Your Eye Out? Is it I love Jingle All the Way. You know what else was a good Christmas movie? Danny DeVito and Ferris Bueller. Oh, that's a good movie, man. That's a good movie because it was like on the humbug out of the blue. Like I was grown already. I wasn't like really into Christmas. And I kind of sat down and watched it. I was like, because I like both of these guys. I was like, this is a good ass movie. I don't even remember the name, but Danny DeVito and Ferris Bueller. That was a good one. So what's the Christmas movie, man? What's the Christmas movie? What you watching? What's the Christmas prayer? You know, what's the favorite scripture? What's the Christmas story? Do we do Elf on the Shelf? You know, what is it, man? Let me know, man. Eyelids ready to get off the road, man. I save a prayer for you, brother. Safe passage, man. I pray safe passage on you and to everybody. My brother Sunclaw out there working on the road. Man, Sheed out there on the highways. I save a prayer for all of my brothers. I pray safe passage for all of you brothers to have success in your endeavors. And I pray that God covers you and bring you home safely to your family. You have a joyous holiday season this Christmas, man. That is my prayer. I know God hears my prayers because I have his favor because I'm obedient and I show him honor and respect. I know you do the same thing. So I know you hear your prayers. So my prayer is with you, bro. So you know how we say it's already done, brother. It's already done. So just like this case right here, it was already done, you know. I mean, we gonna save a prayer for Dante Rice. So I lost my mother on Thanksgiving. Lazo and RB, they're dealing with anniversaries for their mothers. So we're gonna save a prayer for their soul. And Dante Rice's son, not even 2 years old, won't have his father. Dante Wright's mother won't have his son. Dante Wright's father and mother won't have a child. 42 years old. He looked like me. He sound like me. My son is 20. This is hard, bro. When he got on the stand, I cried. 42 years old. Dante was 20. These are young people. Life barely getting started. Even at 42, I didn't realize how young I am. So save a prayer for Dante Wright and Dante Wright's mother and father and for Dante Wright's son. That's going to be a cold Christmas watching that little boy. I know it's a blessing because it'd be a blessing always, right? It's a gift and a curse. It's going to be a blessing to be able to see their grandchild and to know that he going to grow up in a different world, but Dante won't be able to see that. So you have to accept that blessing at the same time, accept the loss because it's the circle of life. So we save a prayer for them so that they get that understanding. Because I don't know right now with my mom gone, it's hard to understand. So I could imagine it's hard to understand. It's very hard to understand my 20-year-old son. That might never make sense. That might never make sense. And I don't think it ever will for my auntie. When my little cousin was murdered, he got shot once in the heart like Dante. His name was Starville on 3rd Street in San Francisco in the Bayview. Thank you. It's a famous neighborhood in San Francisco. I love you. I'm sorry. Okay. Get your nails done. Mrs. Perfect Timing gonna go get some Christmas nails. Gonna cost me an arm and a leg. Some dick grabbers. Y'all know about the dick grabbers? Any of the beautiful ladies and sisters in the chat, y'all put a one in the chat if you know about the dick grabbers costing me all these money on these nails. They better put in some work too. I ain't paying all this money on these nails and they not grabbing no dick. They better be grabbing daddy dick. Shit. Merry Christmas. But we gonna I just wanted to start off with that. So thank everybody for falling in. We about to play this right now. And we watched this case, and it's been a very hard case to watch. I didn't when I first started watching it, my mother hadn't passed away, but so it's been difficult. And my daughter turned 16 last week, so I got to see my son that I'll tell you guys about all the time. And that was good to see him. But it's been difficult. And I know it's difficult for him because he lost his grandmother. I got to have my grandmother until she was 80, and my mom died at 60. And so he a young man, that my grandmother guided me to spirituality. So I know that's going to be tough for him, but I gave him a big hug and a kiss because even at 20 years old, he's still my baby. So I'll give him a hug and a kiss. It's just so hard to say because they can't hug and kiss Dante. Like anybody with kids, like, you don't matter if they 17, that's your baby. I hug and kiss my babies, man. I don't care if you my son. I miss my son right now. I love my son. I miss my father. I love my father. I love my mother. I miss my mother right now. And I'm going to miss her every day, so I know they're going to miss Dante every day. They're going to miss Dante every day. I got a poll I'm putting up. I need help on how to spell decision. Hey, Toya, if you in the chat, because somebody help me out, I'm going to look it up. I haven't put the poll up because I don't know how to spell decision. A lot of times, y'all so kind to me, and I thank y'all for being so kind because y'all let me slide with my misspellings and everything, but I haven't, I don't know how to, I didn't know how to, so I just looked it up, though, so I got it right now. So decision is spelled, it's spelled Decision. I think I would have put DECE. I always mixed up. So when you have dyslexia, you mix up, it's I before E, except at the C and sometimes Y. So I would always transpose the I and the E. I would always get that wrong. So I always have troubles with the words with a lot of I's and E's in them. J World, what's up? What? So I just put a poll in the chat. Y'all let me know, and let's take a look. Let me put my link in the chat. I don't know if my brother could come up because I know he working. Everybody, man, I'll tell y'all, man, safe passage, man. Many, many safe passage and prayers upon all of you, man. Peace be upon all of my 5.0 brothers, man. Peace be upon you and your family. You know what I'm saying? We did a winter solstice show the other day. Pastor $40 had a fire live stream. Pass it over to Alonzo Hall, who had a fire live stream. I'll tell you, God is doing work. I tell you, this relationship that he's built, this brotherhood, while everything is crumbling, there is an assembling coming. It's like Voltron or something, where all the brothers coming together in this intelligence on different wavelengths. Pastor is a nurse, a young black male nurse. I always had aspirations to be a nurse. I worked in the hospital. I know what it is. I know the RN runs the hospital. People think the doctor runs the hospital. The doctor writes your orders and leaves. The nurse is the one who wipes your ass, changes your ass, gives you the medication. And when the doctor who only been there 5 minutes writes you the wrong prescription, the nurse is the one who saved your life or saved your mama life by not administering too much of that drug. Because this motherfucker ain't spent enough time with you. The nurse is with you. You're admitted to the hospital day in, day out. They like your maid. They there 24/7. So when he come in for 5 minutes and give you too much dope, the nurse knows that's not enough. And she's taking pharmacology too. So she'll call the doctor back and say, Dr. Johnson, did you know that Dennis has a proclivity to blah, blah, blah? He can't have that. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know Dennis had that. So, you know what I'm saying? The nurse is a lot of time saving your life. So Pastor's an RN, Alonzo's a financial all-star. So an assimilation is coming, man. It's a beautiful thing. What's up to my good brother, Son Claw, in the building, bro?
Peace. Can you hear me?
I can hear you good. You sounding good. I hope I sound as good as you sound.
Yeah, you sounding good.
Awesome.
You sounding good.
Awesome.
Yeah. For $100, I should sound good, damn it.
So that means you at the house, you're not working, man.
No, I'm on the road right now.
Oh, you on the road? Oh, you got $100.
Like I said, for $100 headset, you better sound good.
Okay. Nice. So I was hanging out with Binky this morning, and she just hit me. She just brought me a breakfast burrito, and she's like, "You got to go live. They got the verdict." I was like, "Man, I had already started Christmas. I felt
so what did they find?
Let's take a look. You ready?
Yeah.
Let's take a look, everybody. We're gonna get into it, man. So, you know, perfect perspective. I think we came out perfect again, but I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch because, you know, I don't think this is over. So let's take a look. And good morning to everybody and Merry Christmas, everybody. The way we say it is Murray. It's Murry. And I don't know how to spell the last. How would you spell criminal? Somebody in the chat spelled criminal. So it's Murr criminal. So I don't know how to spell criminal. So I think you got to be from Tennessee. I think you gotta be from Tennessee. I ain't gonna get on Virginia because I got my brothers from Virginia. But I think you gotta be from Tennessee to say or spell Mercriminal. So let's see what the verdict came in with the Kim Porter trial. Again, we're watching the verdict for Kimberly Porter versus the state of Minnesota in the shooting death of Dante Wright, 20-year-old father, pulled over, multicultural female in the car. 3 officers pulled him over. He was pulled over by an African-American police officer who was in training. Kimberly Porter took over that traffic stop, claimed to accidentally pull her taser, but inadvertently killed Dante Wright. Let's hear the verdict. Sun Club, tell me if it loop if I need to mute myself, okay?
All right.
Please be seated. Members of the jury, have you arrived at a verdict? Okay. Will the deputy please retrieve the verdict forms and provide it to me for review? Would Ms. Potter please rise? I'm now going to read your verdicts as it will appear in the permanent court records of Hennepin County. In the matter of State of Minnesota versus Kimberly Potter, court file number 27 CR 217490, we, the jury, on the charge of manslaughter in the first degree while committing a misdemeanor on or about April 11, 2021, in Hennepin County, state of Minnesota, find the defendant guilty.
Wow.
And the verdict was agreed to at the hour of 11:40 a.m. and signed by the jury person on 12/23/21. The verdict on count 2 is we, the jury, on the charge of manslaughter in the second degree, culpable negligence on or about April 11, 2021, in Hennepin County, state of Minnesota, find the defendant guilty. And that verdict was agreed to at 10:30 a.m. on 12/21/21. Members of the jury, is this your true and correct verdict? So say you one, and so say you all.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, you may be seated. All right, I am now going to poll the jury. Juror number 2, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 6, is this your true and correct verdict? Juror number 7, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 13, is this your true and correct verdict? Oh, it's juror 11. And juror 17, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 19, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 21, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 22, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 26, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 40, is your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 48, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
And juror number 55, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Members of the jury, when you first came into the courtroom, I told you that jurors are the heroes of our judicial system. Well, the 12 of you are our heroes in this case. You might remember that there was a question on the questionnaire that asked whether you wanted to be on this jury. You were to check yes, no, or maybe. A number of you checked no or not sure, and a few of you checked all three. But when I asked each of you if you would be willing to serve if the party selected you as a juror, you all said yes. You said yes, even though we are in a pandemic with Omicron spreading in our community. You said yes, even though you had concerns about serving, given the nature of the case. You said yes, even though you knew you would be sequestered during deliberations and away from your loved ones. And you said yes, even though there was a chance that this case could have lasted past Christmas. You were willing to sacrifice much because you believed in our justice system. And then you went into deliberations, and each of you brought with you your common sense, individual perceptions, and life experiences, and you came to an agreement on the verdicts. You did your duty. I'm so proud of you. You should be proud of yourselves. Without civic-minded citizens like you, our system of justice could not function. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifices. I wish you all a wonderful holiday season, and may the peace and beauty of the season be yours throughout the year. At this time, I'd like you to go into your waiting courtroom, and I'll be in just a moment. I'd like to thank you personally and to answer any questions that you have. Okay. Okay, please be seated. All right, Council, we have to pick a date tentatively for sentencing. For in custody, we'll be taking Miss Potter into custody and holding without bail. So what is 3 weeks out? I think we probably want to do a tier 4.
So we will be looking at January 13th or 14th. We can do 11:30 on either day.
Sentencing? For sentencing.
You got a pre-sentence report?
Yes, I'm having a PSI report done.
We are not available on the 13th. If we could do the 14th. So later in January, your preference. Did you also like to talk about the bail issue? Yeah, before you decide, we make a decision to take her in.
All right, I'll hear you out. You know, I think it'd be easier for the court reporter if you went to the podium. Yes.
There hasn't been a motion to file a motion, but if it's arguendo, they're going to file a motion to revoke her bail. We will be filing a motion for dispositional. She is amenable to probation. Her remorse and regret for the incident is overwhelming. She's not a danger to the public whatsoever. She's made all her court appearances, including all appearances in the court. It is the Christmas holiday season. She's a devoted Catholic, no less. And there is no point to incarcerate her at this point in time because A, you haven't decided what the sentence is going to be. B, the dispositional departure arguments are quite strong on this case. And C, it's not necessary for the preservation of public safety. So for those reasons, she need not be incarcerated whatsoever pending sentencing. You certainly can do it after sentencing, but this is a rather unique case of someone who has law enforcement experience and was never in trouble all her life and is 49, which is beyond the age of most defendants that you see. Plus, she has deep roots in the community and her family's here, and there's no evidence that she would flee. So we respectfully ask you to change your mind as to whether she needs to be incarcerated right now. I know Mr. Gray has a couple comments too.
Your Honor, her bail right now is $100,000. She's got that posted. She's not going to run. She obviously is not going to commit any more crimes. She's been convicted of an accident. She's been convicted of being reckless. I just would like to be able to, with Paul, file a motion for dispositional departure in this case. I think there's other facts that didn't come to light during the trial that are important also about Jim Potter and about this case. So I respectfully request that you release her on her $100,000 bail. And that'll make it easier to do the pre-sentence report. We'll get people sending letters on her behalf. And I would ask for a sentencing sometime after, if you release her, sometime. I started trial January 20th. It should be over by February 20th, I hope, sometime in late February. And ask that my gosh, she's got $100,000 bail out, Judge. But, you know, she's not going to commit another crime. She's not going anywhere. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Frank.
Thank you, Your Honor. I do request to be taken into custody.
Wow.
The convictions here are for manslaughter in the first degree, manslaughter in
Yes.
the second degree,
Wow.
based on the death of Dante Wright, a young man. In other words, it's a case that involves a death. They are very serious charges.
Yes.
It is customary for defendants to be taken into custody upon a guilty verdicts for those level of crimes.
and we don't think this case should be any differently. Your Honor, we also have learned that the defendant is not living in the state. I don't know if that was known and provided for in the original conditions of release.
Wow.
But presents obviously an aggravating factor for allowing her to remain out of custody. So we are requesting that the state
shout out to the trolls of the chat.
Withdraw any
shout out to the trolls of the chat.
Release. Your Honor, we do have the Blakely issue to resolve, and we would be asking some direction from the court on whether we should submit written arguments or proposed findings, or how the court exactly wants to address that. We could have those findings, of course, for the actual sentencing hearing, and we would request a PSI as well.
Yes.
I understand that, but both of those crimes, there's no intent, no criminal intent. It's reckless. And
let's vote. Let me know what y'all think. Should she go to jail or not? Right now, we're arguing. Should Kim go to jail?
I don't think of her had a reckless.
Put in the chat what you think.
Intentional crime by somebody with a clear record, and we have a strong basis for disposition of the party. I asked the court.
So perfect. While I was out, are they trying to get her bail until she's sentenced?
Correct. Correct. Correct.
Why?
And
why should they give it to her?
Well, actually, I love what the state said. The state said this is a death of a young man. It's customary that she be remanded into custody. There's nothing different here. She should not be treated any differently.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that was beautiful. That was the most...
her record was clear until she got that guilty verdict.
Man, he didn't go to any of their points. Basically, he said she's guilty of manslaughter in the first. I wanted to wait to get to that till they decide that, but they got her guilty of both manslaughter 1 and manslaughter 2. These are not light crimes. Dante is dead. He said it is customary when someone is found guilty of these charges that they are remanded in custody. There is nothing different here. She should not be treated. Woo!
And if he's not going to be home for Christmas,
why
should she?
Why
should she?
Oh, excellent point, Mrs. Perfect Timing. And she lives out of state. How can we grant her bail? How can we grant her bail? She's already fled. You can't say she's not a flight risk when she's already flew. She's fled. She should not have bail as it stands now. I mean, by the laws, that bail, if anybody in the chat want to look it up, but by Minnesota law, she shouldn't be out on bail now because she's not a resident of Minnesota anymore. How can Minnesota have her on bail? Mrs. Perfect Timing with the coffin nail. Hold on. I don't got my other soundboard, but Rhodes sent me a shipping label too, Sun Claus, so I got to... Mrs. Perfect Timing with the coven there. I got to ship in. Mrs. Perfect Timing said I might as well ship in that microphone too. I had issues with, so I got to email them again and ship in my microphone too because I got 2 microphones. I knew you was going to come in my life, Son Claude. When we get together, everything going to be already set up. I got the same setup that Gilly and Wallow got. I'll be seeing Gilly and Wallow. Look on their latest interview. They got the Rodecaster Pro in the front so you can see it. You got 4 mics on here. I got 2 Rodecaster mics, and I know you got good mics and shit already and good shit. So we get together with all of our shit. That'll be some shit right there. But let's see. You want to throw in your 2 cents before we find out if they're gonna let her go or not? Cause I don't know.
You know, they ruined my joke. Perfect. They ruined it.
Let's hear it.
Kim won't be home for Christmas. Her ass is gonna be in jail. Kim won't be home for Christmas. And don't drop that soap. Wasn't that beautiful? Wasn't that beautiful?
Merry Christmas. Hey, you know what, Son Claude? I don't want to celebrate. I don't want to celebrate, right? But I'm excited because of how the legal pundits on the other channels have misconstrued the facts in this case and told the American public that you don't go to jail for making a mistake. There's no mistakes in life. It goes back to Simone Biles. So now we're going into the.
I want to remind people out there.
Come on, let's get into the perfect perspective. Let's drop
about what a mistake is.
Come on.
When you get caught by the cops, that's a mistake right there. You didn't mean to get caught by the cops.
It wasn't me.
When you robbed that bank and you miscalculated how long it would take the cops to get there before you got out and got into your car and were off, that was a mistake right there. When you murdered your ex-business associate and you forgot to dispose of all of the evidence, that was a mistake. You didn't mean for the cops to find a little bit of your DNA at the crime scene. That was a mistake.
When you asked
OJ, go to jail for making a mistake.
Hey, when you asked O.J. Simpson to try on the gloves.
Yeah.
When you asked O.J. Simpson to try on the gloves, the Ferragamo gloves, if it don't fit, you must have quit. That was a mistake.
Exactly. It's not like you could have gotten a molding of his hand and then put the glove on the molding of his hand.
And remember, the state requested that he try
that kind of technology. Oh, wait a second. We do. Oh. So that's why they were. Oh, I'm gonna shut up now, perfect.
Hold on, Son Claude. Hold on. It don't fit. It don't fit, Son Claude. Don't fit. What if it don't fit? What we gotta do? Hey, hold on. 5.0. 5.0, 5.0, 5.0, 5.0, 2 stones, bro. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Jay World says she should not get no bail. She already left the state and not in jail. Already makes this a different case. Exactly. For me and you.
If you want Minneapolis to burn.
For me and you,
if you want it to burn, give her bail.
Give her bail. Give her bail. Hey, Rogish, my black pill brother, I know Rogish is at home saying, give her bail. Give her. Burn, Hollywood, burn. Burn,
hey,
Hollywood,
you know what,
burn.
man? It's going to be cold out in the Midwest, and you know what? I don't like paying all this electricity, man.
It is Christmas.
I'm heading to the supermarket right after I get off of work. I'll get some marshmallows.
You know, some graham crackers.
Yeah. And some Hershey bars, man.
You know, we have some s'mores. Merry Christmas, there you go. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Tell my ninjas
and
out
save
there.
A little bit on the light bill too.
Save a little bit on the light bill. Hey, we predicted this. The perfect perspective, man. We said this whole time. You know what we said about a mistake? I said this about a mistake. I said, rest in peace to my mother. I said, you know, my mom and dad divorced when I was young, and I had a problem with wetting the bed. A lot of kids may have wet the bed. You know what I'm saying? So the thing about peeing in the bed, it was because I was afraid of the dark, and I didn't want to walk down the hallway. So I'd be terrified. Eventually, when I got over pissing in the bed is when my brother had a similar issue, and I had to walk my brother down the hallway to the bathroom. That became something that would propel me through my life, propel me through my fear, and would create the person that you see today. Because a lot of times in my life, I was afraid to do things, but I had to do them because the person I love needed me to get them down the hallway. And that's really what my life is all about. And shit, man, I forgot where I was going telling that story. But so I peed in the bed as a child, And I remember having a conversation with my mom about, and she would say, you know, about the accident, right? The mistake that I made. And she understood that I was afraid to go to the bathroom at night and my dad was gone and I'm dealing with the divorce and you know what I'm saying? Similar issues that Kyle Rittenhouse may have been dealing with, or Ahmaud Arbery may have been dealing with, or a lot of young males in inner cities not respective to color. Because now Kyle Rittenhouse shows us that it's not just young black males dealing with this in the inner cities, right? So I recall a time where I woke up in the morning and I made up my bed. I didn't tell my mother that I had made a mistake, that I had an accident. I simply went on about my day without changing my underwear, changing my clothes, washing my ass, or changing my bed. The thing about being a single mom is money is tight. You know what I'm saying? So she can't buy a new mattress. She can't like buy a lot of clothes. So it's one thing if I would have urinated in the bed and I told my mother what happened. She was able to clean the mattress, clean the sheets, clean me, clean the clothes so I could wear them again, sleep in that bed that night. I didn't do that. I didn't do that. So when she finally was able to find what I had done, it was because she went to go clean my room, pulled back, because she smelled the smell, pulled back the covers, and found out that I had been urinating in the bed and I hadn't said anything. So when she came and talked to me about it, she already knew it was a mistake. But the conversation went, I understand that you had an accident and it may have been a mistake because you were afraid, but I'm going to still whoop your ass. And I'm going to whoop your ass for two reasons. I'm going to whoop your ass for the accident you made, right? Because the accident was no longer an accident when you did not, number one, own up for what you did and you didn't clean up behind yourself. So you're going to get two ass whoopings. The ass whooping for the initial accident, which was a mistake. And you wouldn't have gotten an ass whooping if you would have handled it as a mistake. But you're going to get an ass whooping for pissing in the bed and you're going to get an ass whooping for the way you handled it. It's called repentance. See, at that time, I learned to repent. So you have to acknowledge your mistakes so you can learn. Kim is guilty because not only of her training, 26 years of experience, but her actions after she murdered Dante Wright. Her lack of following protocol after it makes perfect mathematical sense when she did not follow the same protocol before, which led up to her death. After he was murdered, they said in court he didn't die for 60 seconds. And they said that he could have been saved, but he wasn't saved because he caused his own death. The jury disagreed. No one out of the three police officers called for paramedics. Nobody gave Dante Wright CPR. She didn't even warn her fellow police officers to the point where Dante Wright was pulled lifeless. The other cop on the scene said, yank him out of the car. His body, his dead, cold, lifeless body was yanked out of the car in handcuffs because she didn't tell anyone she pissed in the bed. And she want to go to mommy and say, mommy, I don't deserve to be in trouble for pissing in the bed because it was a mistake. But I would be a PP boy to this day if I didn't get both of them ass whoopings. So I don't give her the benefit of a mistake. I wouldn't give my child the benefit of a mistake, and I would teach him the lesson that my mother taught me, and the state agrees with moms. Perfect. Kenzie and Red said, perfect been pissing in the bed, blaming the bed. Hey, let's see if she's going to jail, man. Let's see if she's going to jail.
In this case are commits. And I am going to require that she be taken into custody and held without bail.
Wow.
And I recognize your arguments, Mr. Ng and Mr. Gray, but I cannot treat this case any differently than any other case. So, I think we should probably set briefing deadlines. I know that the defense would like to make a written motion for dispositional departure. And the state has the argument concerning aggravating Blakely factors that we should be briefing. How much time does the defense need to put in their motion for dispositional departure?
At least 1 month. We're backed up. Both of us are backed up on trials right now. I start one on the 20th as well.
Okay.
So at least 1 month from at the end of January, preferable.
Okay. Pick a date in January and I'll give the state what they need to respond.
Well, January 31st.
January
Yes.
31st, that's a Monday.
Okay. And would the state like to respond to the motion, the sentencing motion?
Could we have 2 weeks, Your Honor?
You may, and that date would be, Zach?
February 14th.
Okay. And Mr. Frank, I think that the aggravating factors, we did the Blakely on a unitary basis, so no further evidence would be required, correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
So could you submit your brief on the aggravating factors? How much time do you need on that?
2 weeks, Your Honor.
Okay. And
All right, I'm gonna pause it right there. I'll put the link in the chat because I want anybody to come up and we can expound on the conversation. Because I want the brothers to participate. So, oh man, I lost SunClaw, and as soon as I put the link in the chat, I lost everybody. So, but I wanted everybody to come up, man, because I want to have a conversation now that the trial is over. I want to know how people feel, man. Like we did the whole trial. We did the whole Kyle Rittenhouse trial. We did Ahmaud Arbery. I brought you the verdict. Now this is Kim Porter. We brought you the verdict from day one. I don't think we understand how influential YouTube has become as a new media source. I said from day one that it was obvious to me that the prosecution was watching media, and it made sense that they would watch YouTube. You know why it makes sense that they would watch YouTube? Because of the effects that YouTube had on the Kyle Rittenhouse case. If you recall, it was a YouTuber, it was a content creator, it was a vlogger who identified to the defense that the prosecution had withheld DVD video and had supplied them with a subpar DVD video. Who else would know that? They were over 50 years old, 60 years old. They didn't understand Zoom technology. So it was a content creator like us who understood these different things. So a young prosecutor like the woman who did the opening statements would be vigilant of that. She would be watching her taco, vigilant. She would be vigilant of what was going on social media, and she would know not to get caught in the social media debacle because that could affect the case like it affected the Kyle Rittenhouse case. So when I broke down that video, and how what was so awarding to me is when she broke down the video, and just like Kinsey and Red said, and just like J World said, how she implemented and she said that this Officer Kim put Lucky in danger and Officer Johnson in danger and the female passenger. There was a female passenger. When me and SunClaw broke down the video, I didn't even know it was a girl in the car. It came out in the trial, but Perfect Timing and Perfect Perspective told my audience that there was a girl in the car before you found out in the case. And what it was to me, why I became so passionate, because like Jay World said, for African-American men, if I had shot into that car, Mrs. Perfect Timing, that's my wife. I'm Perfect Timing. Mrs. Perfect Timing, y'all don't know her history. She got a real history. She got bros. When we get in situations like this, everybody get charged. I get charged with everything. My family in a bank robbery, you get charged with everybody. Kimberly Porter got one charge. If it was me, if it was you, Jay World, you would be getting charged for endangering, attempted murder on everybody there. It would be attempted murder charges on everybody. The bullet frac, the shell casing from her gun when she killed Dante Wright, she was so close to her fellow police officer. She was so close to Lucky that when she shot and killed Dante Wright, the cartridge casing hit Lucky in the face. Ain't that the same thing that happened to Meg Thee Stallion? Tory Lanez is on trial for a similar matter. Why is she not charged for endangering Lucky when the bullet hit him in the face? If I was Lucky, I would be down in my union representative office and I would be getting all type of money and lawsuits. In the act of this, I'm at work. I'm doing a pullover. When she killed this person, not only do I need to go get therapy mentally, but when she shot him, the bullet hit me in the face. I'm suing Kim. I'm suing the city. When she shot, I don't know if I can as a police officer. Y'all tell me, any police officers in the chat, can Lucky sue? Can Lucky sue? Or is that something that happens in the line of duty? But you follow my thought process. Can Lucky sue? Or is that something that happens in the line of duty? I don't know. I don't know if that's fair or right. So it's a couple things that we're going to get into. And I got a video I want to show because there's some important things to talk about. So, number one, she got found guilty of both manslaughter 1 and manslaughter 2. I need my 5.0 brothers in the building, man, because I need y'all to come through on the charges. You know what I'm saying? The manslaughter 1 and the manslaughter 2, we need to break that down. But you know what I want to break down? Because I don't have the details on the manslaughter 1 and the manslaughter 2. But you know what I got the details on? I had the details on, and y'all hurt my feelings. Man, y'all don't love me. It's Christmas, man. Y'all don't love me. It's Christmas. You know what I'm talking about when I hurt my feelings? Y'all hurt my feelings? This is what I mean by y'all hurt my feelings. I work real hard, man. I work real hard to provide context. Let me show y'all something. Y'all say y'all love me, right? Y'all say y'all love me, right? Okay, let me show y'all something. For everybody who love me, let me show y'all something. Because this is where I'm going to go. This is where I want to go right now. Let me show y'all something. For everybody who love me, you see that right there? What that say? What that say right there? Huh? What that say? That says 8 views. 8 views. 8 views for everybody that love me. 8 views. How you gonna say you love me and got 8 views? Have you hit my Cash App? There's the Cash App right there. What that say? $ Big D Rents. It is Christmas. Merry Christmas. I've been giving fire content. You donate to an avatar. You funky fog leg, funky mother. 8 views. Okay. I'm gonna show the video again. I'm gonna show this video again. I show videos all the time, but now I'm gonna show my video. Why is this so important? Shout out to Young Pharaoh. Why is it so important? Because this video, I made this video for 2 reasons. Shout out to Shut Up React. Shout out to Lazo. Shout out to Rose Gold. I made this video because I'm watching Shut Up and React. And Shut Up React be giving out free game. If you want to be a content creator and you're looking for a mentor, someone to learn from, Shut Up React been doing these courses online on YouTube for free. Thank you, Shut Up and React. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Salute to you. Much love. He talked about doing uploads. And so I knew I need to start doing uploads. I've done a couple uploads, pre-recorded. So something came up in the trial where Kim changed her mind mid-trial, and she wanted to request something called a bifurcated trial. I've never heard of a bifurcated trial. So with this opportunity, I thought about what Shut Up and React was teaching, and it kind of fell out of the normal live stream because it didn't come on during the live stream. So I said, I can make a upload like Shut Up and React suggested and trigger that type of different audience. I only got 8 views. So y'all kind of hurt my feelings because nobody watched the video on bifurcation, but I'm going to make you watch it now. The video on bifurcation is important because what's going to happen now, the people who are maybe counting the eggs before they hatch, everyone is celebrating and getting happy right now. They're discussing something called Blakely law and Blakely rules. There was a case called Blakely versus Washington. Listen to what I'm saying to you, right? I'm going to play the video that's going to illuminate it more. But basically what they can do now, because of Blakely pled guilty to kidnapping with the gun. And that sentence was 40 months. But when the judge, he pled guilty, got found guilty. But when the judge got the case, the judge awarded Blakely 90 months. He appealed to the Supreme Court. And he said that the jury should have been able to choose whether or not if I was that guilty in that level of criminality, right? Because I pled guilty to 40 months. I didn't plead guilty to 90 months. And if I was going to get more than 40 months, then the jury of my peers should have decided that. So they agreed all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said no. The judge, within her scope, could have what they call now a separate trial. A separate trial without a jury. Without a jury. It's called a bifurcated trial. Kim Porter, in the middle of this trial, when she understood that she would be found guilty, they got up and argued for a bifurcated trial. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Look at that handsome guy right there. That's one handsome dude right there. Oh, man. Oh, my God. 8 views. 8 views. Get my views up. Hit the like button. Share the stream. What's wrong with y'all? Y'all say y'all love me. 8 views. Do you know what a bifurcated trial is? Y'all want to go watch all this silly stuff. Thank you, everybody, once again for tuning in. I'm talking into the air. I need my microphone, everybody. I need my microphone. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? We're going to come to you today for a pre-recorded. Shout out to Shut Up and React. I'm just doing me a quick pre-recorded. We had something very interesting happen in today's trial, and it's called bifurcation. And it's something that's being discussed called a bifurcated trial. And I want to give you guys a background into what's happening. We're going to show again what took place in court. We're also going to show the definition of what that is before this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. I want to show what took place in court today as it refers to a bifurcated trial, and I'm going to define it. I need to show you I'm going to show you something. You may not understand what you see. So I'm going to show you something, then we're going to define what you just saw, and I'm going to show it to you again. And then we're going to get out of here. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. Let's go. Perfect timing. Today in court. And this is in reference to the Kim Porter trial. The state versus Kim Porter and the murder of Dante Wright. This is something that's new. It's new to my ear, but something not new to the law, but something that's been new to the law as of late, right? A lot of these laws, again, with this King Kong Kung Fu, have been dusted off to be reused again. So let's take a listen to this, what took place in court today. Kim Porter versus Dante Wright, as it refers to a bifurcated trial, defining this for my audience so we understand what's happening going forward.
Agreed to try the Blakely issue along with the jury trial. Neither did our client. If Mr. Prosecution thinks that we did, we didn't. And I don't think there's any record of us ever doing that. In order to do that, we would have to first get permission of our client. What I understood was that if we would lose the jury trial, after the jury trial, we would have a bifurcated trial with the court and let the court decide the Blakely issues. I would never agree to combine both of them. That was my understanding, and I believe it was Mr. Ames and our client.
Your Honor, we absolutely did discuss this in chambers with counsel. We did talk about leaving the determination of the Blakely issues to the court rather than the jury. Counsel indicated that their client would agree to that. Not a huge, real surprise to anybody that does this. And then we talked about still having a unitary trial, not a bifurcated trial. Not a bifurcated. It was agreed to by everybody in the room. Now, Ms. Potter, of course, was not in the room at that time, but her attorneys represented at that time that they would not be requesting a bifurcated trial. That we were going to have a unitary trial. And I'm a little bit concerned that counsel is now saying on the record, absolutely, we did not agree to that, because we did agree to it. It was discussed and agreed to.
There are two Blakely issues.
So not to interrupt, not to confuse, but we heard a couple terms here. Bifurcated Bifurcated trial versus unificated trial. And we're going to go into the definitions. That's what we're talking about today. They use two terms so far, a bifurcated trial and a unificated trial. And the defense attorney first spoke, he said that he had agreed to two separate trials. This is why I'm bringing this up today, because I didn't know that this existed in law and criminal law. Some of you may be familiar with this in divorce and contracts, but now this is being used in criminal law. Let's go back to the tape. As the judge breaks down the reason why there would be a separate trial.
That the state has submitted.
Sentencing Reform Act, which prompted the United States Sentencing Commission to create federal guidelines.
It's rather interesting. Stay tuned, everybody. Perfect Timing Podcast with the perfect perspective. You know I'm going to give you the background and the play-by-play. Let's go, baby.
1984, Congress passed the Sentencing Reform Act, which prompted the United States Sentencing Commission to create federal guidelines to reduce disparities in criminal sentencing. Many states followed suit with similar legislation. The United States Supreme Court addressed the constitutionality of Washington State's sentencing guidelines in the 2004 case of Blakely versus Washington. Ralph Blakely pleaded guilty to second-degree kidnapping involving domestic violence and the use of a weapon. The crime carried a sentencing range of 49 to 53 months in jail. The prosecutor recommended a sentence within the range. Washington state law permitted judges to impose longer sentences if they found substantial and compelling reasons to do so. The law required judges to make findings of fact and conclusions of law to support longer sentences. The judge imposed a 90-month sentence, arguing that Blakely acted with deliberate cruelty. Blakely objected to the sentence, and the judge held a bench hearing. The judge issued findings of fact demonstrating that Blakely acted with deliberate cruelty. The judge concluded that the sentence was proper. Blakely appealed, arguing that the sentence violated his right to trial by jury. He argued that a jury should have determined beyond a reasonable doubt that he acted with deliberate cruelty. The Washington Court of Appeals affirmed, and the Washington Supreme Court subsequently declined to hear the case. The United States Supreme Court granted certiorari.
Just a quick breakdown, because we don't want the video to go over too many minutes, 17 minutes. Just a quick breakdown. So you saw a 1-minute video there explaining to you the Blakely versus the state. So in Blakely versus the state, what we learned is that there was our
position that we did not agree to try the Blakely issue along with the jury trial. Neither did.
You notice they're referring to it as the Blakely issue, because they don't want the public to understand, and the state keeps referring to it as a bifurcated trial, because they want the state and the people to understand that the defense wants to have her get 2 chances at getting free. She wants double chances again, not equal justice, ladies and gentlemen.
And our client, if Mr. Prosecution thinks that we did, we didn't, and I don't think there's any record of us ever doing that. In order to do that, we would have to first get permission of our client. What I understood was that if we would lose the jury trial, after the jury trial, we would have a bifurcated trial with the court and let the court decide the Blakely issues. I would never agree to combine both of them. That was my.
So I hope you guys are tracking with me. This is going back a couple weeks when the defense first understood that they were going to lose. Did you hear what he said? He said, I never would have said that if we understood that if we lose the jury trial, that the judge, then we would have a second trial where the judge would decide the Blakely issues. I just want to make sure that everybody understands what I'm showing you right now before everybody gets excited, and they're setting it up for a mistrial. This is being set up for a mistrial because this happened in the middle of the court proceedings, and now they're arguing. And the state said we had this conversation and we agreed on a trial, and the judge was there. You notice the judge stayed out of it. And now the defense is saying, no, we never had that conversation and I never agreed to that. I want a bifurcated trial because now we see that Kimberly is going to be found guilty. I want, if the jury finds her guilty, which we know she will be found guilty now, I want to be able to separate that verdict and have it go to the judge. This whole, I know y'all don't, I feel like people don't like my face because every time I go big, but I don't. The judge, this is the thing about a bifurcated trial and the Blakely issues. When you separate the case like this, it's typically in contractual law or marriage, because a marriage is a contract, right? But when you do this in criminal law, the judge will decide the severity of the sentence. I'm going to say that one more time. And I've never heard of that. As black men are the most incarcerated in America, more than people are incarcerated in the globe. All of us are touched by incarceration. All of us are touched by the prison pipeline. Father power, fathers and families. I've never heard of a bifurcated trial where the trial was separated and without a jury of your peers. Why would they want that if she's found guilty? Can anybody in the chat tell me why Kimberly Porter might want what is called a bifurcated trial versus a unitary trial, where the judge would get to separate everything that took place in the courtroom and disregard all of that, and just the judge, who is also an agent of the state and has a relationship with the police officers, now will judge and see how much time Kimberly gets separate from the verdict? What was the jury trial for? Anybody at home, is this thing on? Can you hear me? I'm doing this to show you the contrast in justice. I'm not no lawyer. I'm not no judge. This ain't Judge Judy. I ain't Judge Joe Brown. I'm doing this because I'm a father, 42 like Dante, right, father? I have a son that's 20 like Dante. And I miss my son. He don't live with me. So I felt passionate about this trial. And when it was obvious that Kimberly was going to be held accountable for her lack of instituting her training, for her lack of doing a spark test, multiple days before murdering Dante, for her lack of protocol, procedure, that she was going to be found guilty for after the mistake, a lack of accountability. They said we want to separate. I never in my life, I've lost family members. I've been in court myself. I've never heard of a bifurcated trial where you separate the jury's verdict. Are y'all listening? Should I play the video again? I know I look good. I'll watch myself again, but I can articulate it much better. I go live. It's the perfect perspective. Somebody in the chat tell me, you can tell me later. Have you heard of a bifurcated? I know you ain't. I got 8 views on the video. I know you don't know what the fuck it is. I got 8 views on the video. You think I got 8 views because everybody black know what it is? No. That ain't why I got 8 views. I got 8 views because you don't even know the definition of the word, and it wasn't appealing and attractive because you don't know what the fuck bifurcation means, even though the definition is in the actual word. Like my teacher used to tell me, by, meaning two, separate. The definition is in the word. Just like unification, unify, one is in the word. Unilateral, unified trial is what they agreed to. But now, mid-trial, the defense throws in this monkey wrench and say, no, actually, judge, we want a bifurcated trial. So when they come back with that guilty verdict, we want it to go to you. And we want you to send Kimberly home. Son Claude, how you doing, my good brother? What you think of that bifurcated? You probably didn't watch either. I should be mad at you too. See, Turtles, you can't trust Turtles because Turtle got one piece of pizza. I'm supposed to be your brother. Where the rest of the pizza at?
It's the last one, man.
That ain't no excuse. Ignorance is no excuse for the law.
You see this is why I sneeze on the pizza as soon as I open the box, man. Cause that way people can't accuse me of not sharing. I open up the box and go, ah, shoo! And then I say, do you want a piece? And he's, no, I'm good. I'm good.
You know what I say? Let me get a piece of cheese, no spit.
Like I said, it's too late because I do it as soon as I open up that box.
It's a dick in the box. Pause. 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 So what's up, bro? What you think of that? The bifurcated trial. I don't know. I won't ask you if you watched the video. We could just act like I'm talking about it for the first time. Since nobody watches my pre-recorded videos.
So are we still talking about Miss Potter?
Yeah, we talking about Miss Potter. We're talking about a bifurcated trial. We're talking about in the middle of the trial, the defense, when they recognized that she'd be found guilty, the defense asked for something I've never heard of before, a bifurcated trial, and they referred to it as Blakely issues because a gentleman named Blakely had pled guilty to kidnapping with a gun. He knew that he could get at the max 40 months. So he pled guilty to kidnapping with a gun, a woman. A female judge, after he was found guilty, went back in her chambers and gave him 90 months. Double, plus 10. How much? A contract and buying a car is 72 months. That's 5 years. So 90 months is damn near 10 years. Right? 40 months is like half of that 72-month contract. So that's like 2 years versus 10 years. That's a hell of a lot more time, son, Clark. So he appealed it all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said what she did was legal. So going forward, you were able to request something called a bifurcated trial, where if found guilty, the trial would go to the judge, and the judge would judge the level of severity and issue your sentence based on her ruling. A total separate trial and judgment and sentencing. Now, why would Kimberly want that if she was going to be found innocent? Like everybody, all the legal pundits were saying. Why would an innocent person want to convolute things and have what they call a bifurcated trial?
They were going to have a really, really hard time getting her off. Really hard time.
What benefits would they get from a bifurcated?
Because they were.
You think the judge?
Well, they're gonna wait for the bifurcated trial. Why? The news media probably won't cover it. They probably will not give it the same coverage that they're giving this trial. Why? They already found her guilty. She's going to jail. They don't care about how long she's going to jail for.
Wow.
Unless they announce it that the day of.
Wow.
But after there's not as much media attention or a heat on them, right? They could give them a lesser sentence because the consequences will be lesser. They found her guilty. Christmas, way party, 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 eat, party, party, eat.
Right, everybody happy.
New Year, party, 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 eat, party, party, party. And in between there, you probably blacked out a couple of times from, having a little bit too much of a drinky poo here and there.
Right.
You didn't remember what happened on Christmas Day, and you don't remember what happened on New Year's Eve. Shoot, you don't even know how you woke up on that park bench. Are you gonna remember Kim Potter that she hadn't been sentenced yet? are you gonna remember where the hell are the keys to my damn car?
Facts. Let alone
I'm
Kim.
gonna have to pay the dealership $700 to get a new set of keys, man. 700. Am I gonna be thinking about Kim Potter hasn't been sentenced yet when I'm trying to find a way to either get a discount on getting these keys made or find out where the hell my keys are? No. Am I gonna be thinking about Kim Potter when I am pissed off as hell when my boy calls me and tells me that I left my keys on his coffee table and the motherfucker didn't tell me for a week? No. I'm just gonna be thinking about how am I gonna get them fucking $700 back? I got rent to pay, man. It's the beginning of the month.
Man.
But I need my car to get to work too. Shit. Damn, I spent them fucking $700.
Inflation, the interest
Hey,
rate.
my buddy might have $700 I can borrow. It's his fault for not telling me. Maybe I can guilt him into letting me borrow that $700. But shit, man, it's the first of them, close to the first.
Hey, do you know what happened to Kim Porter?
I thought she already in jail, right? They found her guilty, right?
I guess so.
Yeah, man. What you telling me, man? That you ain't got no $700 to lend me because you got to pay rent? You spent all your money on Christmas. What? Shit, man. Hey, what were you saying about Kim Potter, man?
Shit, man, I owe layaway to Kmart too. I think I spent too much money on Christmas.
That's how it's gonna go down.
Reality, life don't stop. My mama, the world don't stop spinning. They definitely benefit from a buy. Oh, and Sunkar, I was thinking that the judge would be lenient. I had no idea that you interjected time, because then the judge could be not only lenient, might not be the right word. Without the time and attention and the pressure from everyone, her thought process just may be different. Right?
Yes.
Without the pressure and attention, she could say, I know this was a mistake. You can go home.
I have a weird question for you. Let's say those cops that beat Rodney King were found guilty. Would the riots have happened?
I would say no. I would say you would have small bits and pieces of violence, but eventually you were going to have that riot because it was started before that, because you had the Tasha, the little black girl who was shot, so it was more to it than just Rodney King. In the relationships between the Koreans and the blacks, that had been bubbling for a while. The Koreans had fully automatic weapons on the roof, i.e. they were prepared. They had been preparing. And to be honest, that's never been dealt with. That's a whole nother story. That's sad too.
I have to push back on the fully automatic part. Legally, it's in different categories. A fully automatic weapon is a machine gun.
True. They had some shit. They didn't have that. They had some shit though.
Now ARs are not all AR are machine guns, but some machine guns happen to be ARs.
What the Koreans had on that roof, it wasn't no Russian shit. The Koreans didn't have no Russian shit on that roof. They had some other shit.
I think that maybe, like you said, they might have been smaller outbursts. Maybe they would have been just protests, but maybe they wouldn't have been that as much of an outrage.
You need the fuel.
You know, like the straw that broke the camel's back. Would the camel's back have been broken without that straw?
Excellent.
I say no. You know, that bridge, that bridge is only rated for 10,000 pounds. And, you know, that's a little bit of a safety factor. Maybe 15,000 pounds can go across that 10,000 pound weight capacity bridge.
We did it once before.
But
You think we could do it again? Let's
you
do
didn't notice that fly had landed on top of your truck.
it. Uh-oh.
The weight of that fly, that makes the difference. That's what pushed it over the limit.
Yep.
It could take all of that extra weight, except for that tiny little fly that just landed on that truck.
Now keep in mind, we're in the same place as Kenosha. It's ready to go. It's ready to go already. They done drove over kids. Remember? Somebody already drove over a parade. It's ready to go already. We're in the same place. So maybe the thought process is we'll give the public the guilty verdict. We send her home in 30 days. That's what I'm thinking. Bread and circus. Bread. That's why I don't want to celebrate and have a stream where I'm laughing and rejoicing, because I want people to know that we understand the three-dimensional chess that's occurring.
And here's something else that people need to consider. A judge, if they have that discretion for sentencing, it means that for the charges that she was convicted of, they do not have a mandatory minimum or a mandatory sentence, better said. That means that the judge has discretion. There are certain types of charges or crimes where they have to pull out a book and look in that book and sentence you for the exact amount of time that is prescribed for that particular crime.
That's what we all knew. That's what we all knew before today.
There are no special circumstances for it being your first charge. This is the charge that you've been found guilty of, and this is the amount of time you get. What, you were a choir boy at an altar boy? You saved somebody from a burning building? Don't matter. The book says you get this much.
Mrs. Perfect Timing said this judge ain't letting her out.
There's a possibility. It's within the realm of possibility. I ain't saying it's going to happen. She could get time served.
I believe she will get the maximum. Now, the maximum sentence carries a lot for manslaughter 1 in Minnesota. Y'all want to look that up for me? Y'all want to look that up? Somebody look that up for me. What is the maximum sentence for manslaughter 1 in Minnesota? Let's go to the tape, everybody. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna share it because I see a lot of YouTubers do this, and that sounds fun, right? So let's go find out together. I see a lot of YouTubers do this, so let's go find out together. We'll find out together.
Perfect.
So
you ever heard of something on the TV shows or in the movies? It's time to be served concurrently.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that in my family. Men know. So, I'm a horrible speller. Y'all see it's already in the news, Sunclaw. Ex-Minnesota police officer Kimberly Potter found guilty of manslaughter and shooting of Dante Wright.
but not sentenced.
Maximum sentences of 15 and 10 years respectively. Okay, you guys, let's say it right now. I'm gonna put this in the chat. This gonna be in the chat. I'm gonna pin this. This is the I'm about to pin this right now to the chat. So anybody coming in know what the time it is. It's the perfect timing. It's the perfect perspective. We want to keep everybody up to date. You know what I'm saying?
And but perfect. What's the exact wording? Could carry or does? There's a difference.
It says the maximum, and you know what's crazy about the it says respect.
Do they say the minimum?
It doesn't say, but we could go find that too. Okay, I got the message pinned. We just pinned that to the chat. So anybody coming in, coming out, you know what your job is. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share. Subscribe, like, and share, donate. Subscribe, like, and share, donate. Don't hate. Subscribe, like, and share, donate. Don't hate. That's what your job is. So, look at the poll. The poll, everybody voting. Did the jury make the right decision? Everybody said yes. 88% said yes. 12% said no. Some people think it was a mistake. I respect that. I do respect that. I don't have any issue with the people who feel that way. So, what we got pinned in the chat right now, Kimberly Potter, 49, and it's very sad, bro. I don't want no 49-year-old woman with a grown son who's a Marine fighting for our country and a husband who's a guy. This is some bullshit. 49-year-old woman has pled not guilty to first and second degree manslaughter charges, which carry the maximum sentences of 15 and 10 years, respectively, i.e. that each one, and what did Sunclaw just say before we read this? That sentences can run concurrent. I don't know if they'll do that here or if the goal is, I don't know if you can run these two.
It all depends on the judge, doesn't it?
And that may be another reason why they had the bifurcated trial. That may be another reason why they had the bifurcated.
Is a separate judge going to do the sentencing, or is it going to be the same judge?
Oh, it's the same judge. It's this judge who does the bifurcated trial. She gets the case now. And she judges. I'm going to play the video again after this about the Blakely. Who jumping up? Oh, Mrs. Perfect going to chime in. I like that avatar.
Give me a second so I can swap over.
Go ahead. What you got, baby? Let me hear your 2 cents.
Oh, no, I had looked it up, but when I was looking it up, I couldn't hear what y'all was saying at the same time. So I think it said maximum of 15 years.
So the manslaughter,
or no?
Yeah, manslaughter 1 is probably 15, and manslaughter 2 is probably 10 years. What's the minimum? Do you have it up? What's the minimum, if you could tell me, please?
Oh, the minimum?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can stay on StreamYard and go back on the phone.
Okay, I'll look it up.
Also, I'm driving. That's the thing.
Okay, don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't worry,
I can look it up. Oh, man, look at that. Look at him and his son, you guys.
Oh, that just breaks my heart.
Look like Bubba, right?
Oh, my goodness.
20-year-old black man was shot by an officer. Why do they keep putting race? This should not be cool. I don't like this.
You know what?
Who was shot by a white officer.
Oh, man.
26 years of police officer level experience, they said, made her mistake indefensible. She disregarded her training, which included taser-specific courses in the months before the shooting, and took a conscious, unreasonable risk in using any weapon against the unarmed right. Yes! Yes! That's what I said! Whoa! That's what the expert who they tried to disregard and disrespect said. The taser nor the gun was justifiable in this case, which is why Lucky and Johnson never reached for a weapon. The gross misdemeanor, it was illegal in Minnesota. Beyond that, what people haven't been honest about, it was illegal. It was illegal to use deadly force in the case of a gross misdemeanor.
Yeah, but their justification was because it was a weapons warrant, and that highly or likely there could have been a weapon in the vehicle.
But that was
That was
speculation.
their justification. Yeah, that was speculation. Yeah.
Because by law, and this is why I believe the state did such a good job. Not to interrupt you, baby, but by law, the state pointed out that even though it was a weapon, it was a gross misdemeanor, and it makes me think about a legal pundit that yesterday I heard on a TikTok who talked about inalienable rights. And they broke down what are inalienable rights, which is why he would have had a gross misdemeanor for a gun, because the right to bear arms.
No, but they didn't say gun. They said weapon. So it could have been a pocket knife that was too big, according to their law.
Correct.
They never said gun. So it could have been, a rock and a sock at this point. We don't know. So they just automatically assuming a gun. No, it could have been a pocket knife that was too many centimeters too big to be carried, or something like that.
I have something to say.
Go ahead.
Who's got a ruler?
Oh, I don't have one on me.
Freeze! Stop right there. Let me pull my tape measure so I can measure this knife, so I can determine whether or not I can pull out this handgun and shoot you dead.
Exactly.
Now don't move while I do this. You could have pulled out a Swiss Army knife. You know, the tiny pocket one, the keychain size one.
Little baby one, yeah.
You could have had that thing sticking out. You think they're gonna see how long it is?
They're gonna shoot first and measure it later.
And that's their
if
training.
at all. I don't think it's their training. I think that's just their instinct, because they're so terrified of black men, because there's no other race that's getting killed at this alarming rate by police officers.
She was visibly shaken.
Hey, perfect. I'm looking up something over here on a website. It says Tracy Wood and Associates. It's a lawyer's website. And they're saying that technically Wisconsin doesn't have a manslaughter statute on the books.
Wow.
It says when the laws were rewritten, manslaughter was replaced with second-degree intentional homicide.
So, and that's what the charges were. That makes sense, because that's what the charges were in the Rittenhouse case.
Yep.
If you recall, the wording wasn't manslaughter. That makes more sense. And that makes more sense with the sentencing also.
So they found her guilty of second and first?
They found her guilty of first and second, both. And
now here it says that second-degree intentional homicide is a Class B felony, which is punishable by up to 60 years in prison, along with expensive fees. In addition to the criminal sentence, convicted felons can face consequences in their personal and professional lives. If they give her the 60, that's a life sentence right there.
She's 49.
Yep.
That's a wrap.
They give her 20. That's almost life.
Oh, you bored me.
Ain't gonna make it.
Oh, you know what I was thinking yesterday, Perfect?
Share, please.
The last time you did a stream, you had mentioned that she had gained about 100 pounds.
Yeah, that was visibly, you could see that in that picture right there.
Binky, do you happen to recall, can you hearken back to when Tyra Banks lost weight?
Shit, she might be too young.
Yes.
Do you remember that it was
I
in
do
the
remember
news?
she was really big.
People were upset that she had lost the weight.
She sure was.
Do you know why? Her audience was stay-at-home moms.
That looked like her. when she was big, and that made
At best,
them feel better.
at best, they look like her when she was quote unquote big.
Similar to Oprah.
Right. So by Kimberly gaining the weight, it made her look more like a normal white lady, like not a fit cop, like not like
Hmm.
I don't know.
And
Wow.
recall that where is Wisconsin? In the Midwest,
Mhm.
where there are known to have a little bit of meat on their bones. And then you have 7 women on the jury. She's already a cop. How can we make her seem more likable? Look at how frumpy those clothes are. That's something
Yeah,
that
I was gonna say Mickey
I would
Jamal's
expect.
trial was like,
I would expect like
where's your like suit, your
yeah,
blazer, your
it's on purpose.
like there was like little sweaters and cardigans and real stay at home
And
mom
look at
look.
the little cross. And Kimberly,
Oh, I didn't even see
don't dye your hair. A
that.
woman
Uh-huh.
who is of her
Gotta look
age
old.
would have a little bit of vanity and would want to look her best, right? You would think that she would want
Right.
to dye her hair.
Yeah.
No, leave the gray in your hair. Then, then I want you to gain some weight and look as frumpy as possible. Because I want people to think she's a grandmother. She's
Yep.
49. They were all, the defense was throwing these numbers up to make her look or make her seem old. You don't want to send this old lady. She looks like the Sunday school teacher. Now, he
Mhm.
didn't look like it then. See, look at the lipstick, perfect. Why does a police officer need to be wearing lipstick for pulling people over?
Hmm. Good question.
Look at her hair. Do you see any gray in her hair? You know why you don't see none?
No gray.
Because she dyed it. Because she has some vanity. But now that she's on trial for murder one, oh, I'm sorry, not murder one, but unintentional or intentional homicide, she didn't dye her hair anymore. And can you pull up the other picture? The one you had up before, perfect, of her on the stand. No lipstick, no makeup.
It's two different people, bro.
She's not dyeing her hair.
It's two different people, bro.
There's no eyeliner. There's no nothing. They want to make it seem go easy on her. It was a mistake. This little old lady here, the Sunday school teacher, she made a mistake. There's no way that this granny did it on purpose. It is theater. It is a game. They want to present the story to you in a very particular way.
Yep.
They wanted to give their client the best chance of winning. People hate cops nowadays. Even Republicans don't care too much for cops. You know why? In certain cities, the cops have been enforcing mandates, have been breaking up parties. So, even Republicans ain't really too hot on cops nowadays. So we're going to downplay that. We're going to play it up when it's convenient for us. But we're going to downplay that when it's not convenient for us. No earrings, perfect. No earrings.
Man, I didn't notice that.
No lipstick. No makeup. The whole nation, the whole country is going to see you on television. Your image will be in newspapers and will be seen internationally. And when nobody but the person who you were pulling over would see you, you had lipstick on and a little bit of makeup and a little bit of eyeliner, and you dyed your hair when only one person would see you. And now that millions, if not maybe billions, would see you, you have no makeup on. You stop dyeing your hair. Now you don't want to appear as youthful as you can. She has makeup there, perfect. Not just a lipstick, she has a bit of foundation on there too. Some rouge on the cheeks. The eyes. I don't think she has any eyeliner, but what would I know? I don't know nothing. I'm a man. What does a man know about any makeup?
Man.
My eyes ain't all that good anymore, perfect.
Shit.
I had to give somebody at work the example, That's what I said. You see that drink machine over there? I said, which drink machine? That drink machine right there that's about a football field away. I said, yeah, I see that drink machine. I said, you see that fly that's sitting on top of the drink machine over there on the corner? They said, I don't see a fly. I said, trust me, there's a fly sitting on top of that drink machine. I said, my eyes are so bad. Back in the day, that fly that's sitting over there on top of that drink machine, on the corner of that drink machine, on the right hand corner of that drink machine, from where I'm standing right here, football field away, I'd be able to tell you whether it was a girl fly or a bird or a girl fly from here, from a football field away. Nowadays, I can't even see that drink machine.
Nobody told us it would be like this either, Son Claude.
But look at that, perfect.
You see the two people, it's two different people, brother. It's the teller two.
And scroll back to the other picture, man.
It's two different people. It's two different people.
And perfect. I'm going to mention something, and I'm going to be crass. If you can pull up the other picture.
There you go.
She's well endowed. Up top.
Mm-hmm.
You would not want a woman in the jury to dislike her for any reason whatsoever.
Yeah, good point.
Oh, look how nice her skin looks. Her skin looks better than mine. What? She's 49? She doesn't have a gray hair on her head. I'm I- I'm 39 and I have gray hairs. I hate this witch. She has more cleavage than I do. She got it all covered up.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, they put the vest on her too.
Yep.
And
Wholesome.
and to draw your attention away, we put this pattern, because even the vest has a pattern on it. And the blouse that she's wearing has a pattern. And not just a pattern. If you look at it closely, the neckline is also ruffled. There's also very intricate embroidery in small holes in a pattern around the neck, also to draw your attention to it.
Speaking to the Midwest, and what people don't realize that it's religious white people.
Mm-hmm. And there's the cross right there.
What? Where the cross at? Where the
There,
cross?
right there, perfect. I
Oh, I
told
see
you
it.
my eyes ain't good. Perfect.
Yep.
You're the one who's seeing it on the good screen. I'm seeing a screenshot on your screen inside of a box. Like I said, perfect. My eyes ain't good.
This is speaking to the Anglo-Saxon Christian demographic. But look, you can see through it. You can see through it because they perverts too.
Yep.
Look, you can see through it.
Yeah, I know.
Because they perverts too. Because this is actually foreplay. They dress like this on purpose. But if you're not part of that community, you wouldn't know.
I said that they're playing.
Yep.
They're role playing.
Yep.
They're playing a game. They want their client to have the best chance of winning.
Now wait.
I can see her bra.
Now wait.
I can see her bra line. Perfect.
Wait, I'm gonna fuck you up. I had to go just search for this. This has been hidden. Check this out. Check this out.
Go ahead, show it.
This is the full picture.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple things are illuminated here. I'm not going to be as crass as my partner. I'll let you intimate the crassness of this photograph, but what I will speak to is her size. Because what we're focusing on now is look at her in relation to this woman. Look at her size, her arms, her body, and look at how it relates to how she looked on the stand. Cheekbone, collarbone. Look at this right here. There's no fat on the arms. There's no fat compared to look at an average woman. An average woman is a little round. Men like round, soft. She's not overweight. She's not unattractive at all. At all. But
who's in uniform? Perfect.
Exactly.
Who needs lipstick? Of these two women, who needs it? Who needs the makeup?
This person not in uniform. But who is the more attractive woman in this picture? It says a lot to who Kimberly is in the.
Now hold up now. There's a saying in Spanish.
They put the man in the middle.
Para los gustos se hicieron los colores. That colors were invented for taste because everybody has a different taste. Everybody likes a different color. So I ain't going to say who is the most attractive there.
Okay, my bad.
I'm not saying that because one of my brothers might have somebody who may or may not grab a frying pan from the kitchen and bong them over the back of the head. I ain't saying that. But I'm just saying that by classical Western standards, there's one of them that is a little bit slimmer, that fits that beauty standard.
Yes.
There's one who appears more youthful that fits that beauty standard. There's one that appears to be more toned. that also fits that quote unquote beauty standard. But they wanted to play a game, perfect. You know, there's some people who have that sexy librarian fetish.
Look at these two people. This other person is bigger than the person in the pink. Look at this. Look, this is someone else.
Mm-hmm.
This person is 3 sizes different.
Yep.
This is not even the same size as the woman in the pink. She's lost
Perfect.
all structure to her face. There's no cheekbones. You don't see no
She was a
cheekbones.
police officer.
She got a double, triple chin, no cheekbones. This is not even being joking.
She was disciplined. She has a son in the military.
In the Marines.
Her husband was probably in the military, since he's a police officer or was a police officer.
On the task force, on the drug task force, doing no.
So he will probably former military.
Yeah, because he's doing no knock warrants. He's doing the big boy shit.
That's SWAT. That's a special forces of police officers.
He was doing the big boy shit, which makes sense that his son would go be a Marine.
She was disciplined. Where did all that discipline go?
I think for like a week, son Carl, you have been trying to tell me, and it finally clicked toward the end of the case. You're right, son Carl. She had been disciplined, but we ain't talking about Turkey Leg Hut. And she had been disciplined by her mother, by her father, by her husband, and by her son. And what she did on that day.
So what came out at trial? Perfect. Because I was speculating.
She displayed that discipline. She did.
So it came out in trial that they basically told her, if your tiny, old hind parts are ever in a situation where you need to draw that taser, there's a chance that thing won't work. And it's in 26 years. I'm not even a police officer. And I was able to pull up a video of a taser not working on somebody.
Right? Ahmaud Arbery.
The thing went off not once, but I think that officer triggered that thing 3 times.
Yep. Didn't even feel it.
Arbery didn't feel it.
I mean, not visible, not physical, nothing.
You got somebody who's going to come on you. And you don't have the size or the physical strength to keep them back. And the only other thing that you could have done to stop them, they are too close and already on top of you. So that other option that you had is already lost to you. Because you have to do everything in your power to keep that person off of you. You can't even reach your gun anymore. So guess what? Her husband, being a SWAT officer, he probably told her what she already knew.
Mm-hmm.
The worst that can happen to you, if you ever needed to pull that taser, but you pull that handgun instead, is that you'll be fired, but you'll be alive. You might go to trial, but you'll be alive. There's an off chance that you might even go to jail.
But you live.
But you're alive.
You live. You live to fight another day.
But guess what's the worst thing that can happen if you pull that taser out instead of that Glock? You're dead.
We lose our wife and mom.
You'll never see your children again. You'll never see your husband again.
That's all he had
Because
to
you're
say.
D-E-D dead.
That's all he had to say.
And you think that she didn't know that. I had made an analogy perfect. You know, people, when the dog is on the carpet, you know, it's got his leg raised up and it's about to do something that you know, and it knows it ain't supposed to be doing there. Most people will grab a newspaper and swat that dog. Kim is the kind of person who will grab the newspaper too and send that dog flying across the room. Because she likes to use things that are effective and work. So what she failed to tell you was that she had a lead pipe up inside that rolled up newspaper. You know why? Because it would work. A regular rolled up newspaper, she might use it and the dog still might piss on her carpet. Hey, that passed out dog ain't gonna piss on no damn carpet. After she whacked it and sent it flying across the room with that newspaper that had a lead pipe up in it. That's what she did. She used something that she knew for a fact would work, which was that Glock. And she had doubts on whether that taser would work. And you know also why she would have doubts that that taser would work?
She hadn't spark tested it for 2 days prior to the shooting.
You've heard of people dying from tasers? You think Taser hasn't been sued for those deaths? You know what they would do in order to prevent those types of lawsuits in the future? They would make those tasers a little bit weaker. Maybe, just maybe, in order to make the taser as effective as possible, meaning that it would work in the way that you would think it would work. Most of the times, maybe you're right there at that line between it being lethal and non-lethal. Not that they won't feel it, but that they might die from it, or they'll be on the ground incapacitated. Not that they won't feel it. They'll either be dead or on the ground incapacitated. With all these lawsuits, with all this publicity of people having heart attacks from getting tased, there's a good chance that they probably readjusted these tasers to reduce the possibility of somebody dying from being tased.
To stay in business like you taught us the other day.
So you think that the police officers wouldn't know that this happened? After years of being able to use it and being able to incapacitate people, all of a sudden, yeah, Officer Bill down in the neighboring county pulled out his taser and it didn't do shit. I heard that 3 counties over, Officer John pulled out the taser and the taser didn't do shit. That suspect was on him like white on rice, like stank on shit, and fucked him up. And if Ted hadn't pulled up right then and there and hit that suspect on the back of the head with that billy club, John would be dead. She heard those stories.
She did.
I'm a female officer. I'm not even a tall female officer.
She had her own agency. I respect that, Son Claw. She had her own agency. Beyond, you know what? That's what they said in the Matrix Part 4. Do not rob her of her agency. You are so true. We could say the husband, we could say the son, but oh, that is so excellent. That's why you my brother. She had her own agency. That's why she's guilty. She had her own agency. Oh,
There's choices that we make. There's choices that we make in life. When I'm out there working and I'm out there doing my job, I have a choice. I can get back home later than I want to be home. Or I can drive faster, not take my time and be a little bit more reckless and not make it home at all.
wow.
When she's out there on the job with her taser and her Glock, she had some choices. I can get home alive or not get home at all.
Needs and wants.
And she made her choice.
She made her choice. And we're
and
not
she trained for that choice.
And we're not going to take away her agency.
And that's why when she yelled, taser, 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 in her mind, if I ever need to pull out a taser, I'm going to pull out my Glock. If I ever need to pull out a taser, I'm going to pull out my Glock. And today, when I need a taser, it's Glock time.
I got a video. Let's go. Let's watch the verdict again. In this video, we're going to get to see the verdict again, and we're going to see what's going on outside the courthouse, and we're going to go to the family. We're going to get to hear from the family. So let's take a look at this video. Anybody who hadn't seen the verdict, just coming in, make sure you subscribe, like, and share. Thank you. I love you, Merk Kridma. And here go the verdict. Kimberly Porter, guilty on all charges. Right, Son Claude? Can we say that?
Guilty on all charges.
Let me know if it's sounding good, you guys.
Officer Kimberly Potter showing her face to the jury of 6 men.
Fair use.
Women delivering guilty verdicts on both counts, manslaughter in the first degree, manslaughter in the second degree, for the fatal shooting of Dante Wright.
Please be seated.
Following a traffic stop, the officer discharging her firearm, not her taser. Her defense calling it a mistake, a human mistake. The prosecution pushing forward a case that it was reckless. Her actions were reckless. We want to go right now to NBC's Ron Allen, who is in Minneapolis. He's been following this trial closely for us. The jury certainly put in the work here. This obviously didn't come easily.
27 hours, Lester, over 4 days, and this is the verdict. And when it was read in the courtroom behind me, there's a small but determined band of protesters, demonstrators who've been here, and a huge cheer went up. It was a huge cheer that justice had been done for the Dante Wright's family. They have been out here day in and day out. It's been bitter cold. I can now hear some horns going in the streets. There's going to be a celebration and a big sigh of relief, I can say also, for this community that has been through so much. Remember, this is the same courthouse, in fact, the same courtroom where the former police officer Derek Chauvin, who killed George Floyd, was convicted of murder not long ago. And of course, the Dante Wright incident happened while that case was winding down. So there's been a lot of pressure here. There's been a lot of concern about what this case might bring. But the bottom line is now it's brought justice for the family. And I can tell you, having talked to them and their attorneys over the weeks and months, that they're going to be relieved. They will tell you probably that it's not full justice because they don't get their son back, but it's some measure of justice that they have been able to prevail in the criminal justice system here. And we all know how rare it is for a police officer to even be charged, let alone convicted in a crime involving the killing of a suspect. This is quite a step forward, many will say, who are watching the criminal justice system in the context of this racial reckoning that the country has been going through. Many will say that this is a big step forward, or at least a step forward, and one that I think a lot of people will honestly tell you they may not have expected. Remember, the defense argued in this case that Dante Wright was, they had authorization, legal authorization to place him under arrest. There was a bench warrant outstanding for his arrest. And the defense argued that Potter even had the authorization to use deadly force in that situation. Remember, this started as a case involving a young man who was pulled over because of an air freshener and because of expired license plate tabs. But then once they ran a background check on him, they realized there was this outstanding warrant and the entire situation changed. But the bottom line is, prosecutors argued that Kimberly Potter had 26 years of experience. She should have known better. She was trained in how to handle a firearm, how to handle a taser. She should have known the difference between the two weapons. She acted recklessly, they argued, as she approached the vehicle, as she took out her gun, yelled taser. The very fact of not looking at the weapon, not noticing that it was a firearm and not a taser, was reckless. And she shot him at point blank range in the chest. Now, in terms of the sentencing here, the maximum sentence for this first-degree manslaughter charge is 15 years in prison. And with sentencing guidelines, it's about half that. However, during the trial, the prosecutors argued there were aggravating circumstances, aggravating factors, and they are going to argue for a greater sentence in this case. Aggravating factors like injury caused to the other officers who were at the scene, injury caused to civilians who were at the scene. Remember, the car went down the road and crashed. All those aggravating factors, the prosecution is going to argue, should almost perhaps double the amount of time that Potter's in jail, they're going to argue. And you'll remember the same thing happened in the Derek Chauvin case, where he was sentenced in criminal court to 22 and a half years, and now in federal court just recently this past week to more than 20 more years. But that same dynamic is at play here. And we'll see when the sentencing happens. But again, the bottom line, she's guilty on both counts of manslaughter, and people who are supporting Wright's family are feeling a big sense of victory here.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top.
Wow, you guys, man, you see that? Sunclaw, you were right. 20 years, bro. I was thinking about Johannes Mesley. Rest in peace, Oscar Grant. Save a prayer for Oscar Grant. Oscar Grant was a young father also. If you haven't seen Fruitville Station, it's definitely worth taking a look at. Fruitville Station was directed by Ryan Coogler. Am I saying that correctly? Ryan Coogler was the guy who's friends with the Black Panther guy, Michael, forget his name, but they made the Creed movies together. Well, he's from the San Francisco Bay Area. He was going to film school when Oscar Grant was murdered. A lot of people might not know the backstory of Ryan Coogler and the Black Panther. I bring him up a lot because he's a brother of mine, because he's from the San Francisco Bay Area, and we have this camaraderie coming out of the Bay Area. It's kind of like people from like New York or stuff like that, or So Ryan Coogler was a young man going to college for film here in the Bay Area when Oscar Grant was murdered. He wrote a treatment, and he was blessed enough because of the situation to get his movie made. And I don't know if he would have been able to get into the movie industry the way he did if Oscar Grant would not have been murdered. But because of Oscar Grant's murder, his story, and he had a God-given gift and talent to tell a story, people were able to see how he tells a story. And he did that in Fruitville Station. Please go take a look at Fruitville Station. In that movie, Oscar Grant was murdered by Johannes Mesley. And Johannes Mesley claimed to accidentally kill Oscar Grant because he was mistakenly pulled his gun instead of a taser. If you guys recall, Oscar Grant was laying on the floor of the Fruitville BART station. It's a train like that, much like the L in Chicago and the subway in New York. Or the MTA in LA. So I was thinking Johannes Mesley got like 2 years for his manslaughter conviction. I was thinking, and he did less than 6 months of probation. I was thinking Kimberly Porter was facing that. To be honest, as Sunclaw was giving his soliloquy, I thought about He made me think about the times that we're living in after post. We're living post BLM. We're living post Stabby Wabby. We're living post quarantine. We're going into the third year. 2022 marks the third year of this. They said it would only be 6 weeks, right? Santa Claus, 7 weeks. We're going into the third year. So we live in a different day and time. So I hadn't taken that into account. So it's very scary what could take place for this 49-year-old mother.
Perfect. I think they might be wrong.
That what they just read, that was Lester Holt. You think Lester Holt is? You think it's that 60 that Binky read? Who read the 60? Was that you or Binky?
I did. Because over here, I'm on the Wisconsin legislature website.
Oh, that's what you do. Go to the
Right.
source. Go to the source, baby.
Yeah, because when it's murder, because I have two websites pulled up here.
So is there a manslaughter? Because
There's an involuntary manslaughter.
So there is a manslaughter.
Involuntary manslaughter law, but it's not really involuntary manslaughter. It's called something else in Wisconsin. In Wisconsin, it's called first degree reckless homicide.
And that's what
not
we heard.
manslaughter.
Right. And that's what we heard in the Rittenhouse case. But they haven't used that. Are they using it because he's an ex-police officer? Are they not using that term?
Now, the thing is that when I was on one website, they only showed up to Class C. So they showed what they call involuntary manslaughter, which is actually reckless homicide. But they didn't show. So they're going to findlaw.com, and findlaw.com for a Class D felony, imprisonment up to 25 years, and a fine up to $100,000.
And it's always more severe when it's murder, because Class D doesn't denote murder. Like Binky corrected me earlier.
But here's the other thing. Perfect. On the Wisconsin legislature's website, it says whoever recklessly causes the death of another human being, recklessly,
and that's what that is. It's in the charge. Go ahead.
Being under circumstances which show an utter disregard for human life.
Right. Come on. Bring
is
it on.
Guilty of a Class B felony.
2 levels above Class D. So that's why you
Yes.
say you disagree with their estimate.
And a Class C felony is up to 40 years in prison and a fine of up to $100,000. And a Class B is above a Class C, which means more time. And probably, I think it might cap out at $100,000 fine.
Did you know that the mayor was black?
Why am I thinking of a rap song?
So glad I love you, bro. Also, hey, I'm not happy about this case and everything, but I am happy that we got a chance to hang out.
Now I need to find it.
Go ahead. I'm gonna get into.
I think there was a rap song in which the rapper is saying that this is this, and then he says, "And my this is black."
My president, yeah, Jeezy, young Jeezy.
Yeah, so my mayor is black, huh?
The mayor is black. So we're gonna hear from the mayor post verdict, and we're gonna hear.
Kimberly is white. My mayor is black.
Yes, sir.
And this is why this was whack. Man. It's whack that that young man had to die over some bullshit, man.
Over some bullshit, and it's actually whack that a 49-year-old mother is going to prison. No,
you know what I'm finding interesting? Perfect.
I'm not happy about that.
I am finding it interesting that her lawyers did not initiate a lawsuit against the Taser company.
Why so?
Because even though they cannot get this verdict overthrown, they might be able to get that $100,000 that they're going to charge her as a fine, whatever amount of time they give her. Because even if it's a Class D felony, there's still a fine of up to $100,000.
Let's hear from the black mayor. Brooklyn Center black mayor Post verdict, Kimberly Porter guilty on all charges, manslaughter.
But now that I'm reading it a little bit more closely, I think it might be a Class D, because there were no prior convictions. So maybe that's why it might cap out at a Class D. But then again, she was convicted of 2 charges, right?
Right, and we don't know if they'll run
Okay,
concurrent.
perfect. Let's just say I'm sentencing you, right? I have to sentence you on each charge that you're charged with, right? Separately. If I sentence you for that first charge, don't you technically have a prior conviction when I sentence you for that second one?
So in California,
but then again, I ain't no lawyer.
So with the 3 strikes law in California, that was applicable for a felon. She's not a felon at the time of this conviction. So if it was her second and third strike, you have lost family members like that. And they actually came back and changed the law because California became so overcrowded. So what Sunclaw is saying that if this was a felon, if this was me or you, and we got arrested and we got found guilty on 2 more Class B, the high-level felonies, and the 3 strikes law was in effect, they could strike me out. Yes, sir, Sunclaw. They could strike me out. This would be a life sentence for me. Yes, sir. And Sunclaw, it was so bad in the beginning that both charges wouldn't have had to be felonies. I'm going to say that one more motherfucking time so they know how we got to this point. Sunclaw, you were making a joke, right? But you know the reality for black men, both charges wouldn't have had to be felonies, sir. Remember, the last charge could be pizza, and I could lose my life.
Now, I'm reading further into it. Perfect. I scrolled further down. And it says second degree, because the one I read before was first degree, right?
Yep.
The second degree intentional homicide. Whoever causes the death of another human being with intent to kill that person or another is guilty of a Class B felony if it says in prosecutions, and it has another statute over here. Nope, it's showing me back to the first one.
I didn't know it was that severe.
So basically, that first degree, since she was found on both, one affects the other.
And that's what happened with Kyle.
So basically, she could be found guilty of a Class B because she was found guilty of the first charge.
See,
so that first one affects that second one.
That's very convoluted. Do you recall from Kyle Rittenhouse where I said I knew Kyle would get found innocent because of the way the jury structures, where the judge was even confused, because the way Kyle Rittenhouse was charged, it affected him the same way, because they charged him with Rosenbaum first, because the act with Rosenbaum happened first, and they separated both acts but charged them all together. Rosenbaum happened first. So he got charged with second degree manslaughter for Rosenbaum, giving Kyle privilege to self-defense in the Rosenbaum incident. But the way Minnesota law works is, you are absolutely correct. If, and the judge, this is why the judge got confused with Kyle Rittenhouse, if you find that Kyle had defended himself anytime that night, you can't find him guilty on any of these charges because they're all manslaughter charges and they're all related. But the problem is the first charge, which affected the other 2 charges, already did what, Sunclaw? It already gave Kyle what they needed to, and which is why they should have never went to trial. right? And this
Mhm.
is why I want to teach the audience that the case may have been won when they fight over what they can charge with. And another thing I want to say today that I haven't been able to say before we go to the video is one of in my understanding, what God has shown me in this case, we were here for one reason. We were not here because
Okay.
black men were.
Now I see where I made my mistake. Perfect.
Oh, please let us know.
I was reading because they have it so convoluted over there in Wisconsin. There's intentional homicide. Intentional homicide is just regular murder, straight up murder, or first degree murder somewhere else. But there in Wisconsin, they call it first degree intentional. But then they also have first degree reckless.
And Kyle has 6 charges.
So they did find her guilty of reckless homicide, which is still a class B. And they found her guilty of the second degree reckless homicide.
First and second.
The second one carries a class D felony. It's a class D felony. The first one is a class B. If you found both, I think they both kind of play off of each other to make it a higher number of years that you're going to be sentenced for.
It should, which is why they argue for the bifurcated trial. Brought to you by the Perfect Perspective with Perfect and Sunclaw. Had you heard of a bifurcated trial before I taught the audience about that?
No.
This Blakely rule. The Blakely rule speaks to what you were just talking about. How Blakely had pled guilty to kidnapping with the gun. Blakely pled guilty because he knew the maximum sentence only carried 40 months. We're discussing this, ladies and gentlemen, because the Blakely issue in this case will apply because they argue for a bifurcated trial. Blakely, after being found guilty, was given 90 months by the judge. Blakely appealed all the way to the Supreme Court. Blakely said, I pled guilty to 40 months. If I was facing 90 months, only a jury of my peers can decide my level of severity of the crime, not a judge independently after I've already been found guilty. Makes perfect sense to me, right? Makes perfect sense. You can't go back in time. You can't rewrite the books. I pled guilty to 40 months. The jury found me guilty 40 months. That's it. You don't get to give me double the sentence. The Supreme Court disagreed with Blakely. The Supreme Court said the judge can have a separate hearing from now on going forward and weigh the severity of the charges and give out the sentencing outside of the normal scope of what the jury.
Hey, perfect. I just found out where the answer to the other question.
Please.
Sentence for certain violent offenses. Use of a firearm. In this section, this is from Wisconsin legislature's website because I ended up looking up felonies. And what she did, I think, would be qualified as a violent felony because it was a firearm used.
The thing is, Sunclaw, the second, probably not, but the first, the fact that she got found in the first, everything that you're going to read, the bad stuff is going to apply to her.
Yeah, but it still says, it says bifurcated over here. It says, so basically in this section, violent felony means any felony under, and then it has all of these different statutes. And one of these statutes over here is her manslaughter statute. So let me just double check. Control F. And then I need to put in statute 940.01.
Who doing this research for y'all? The Perfect Perspective, baby. Perfect and Sunclaw in the building, man.
And it falls under a violent felony.
Not good. Not good, Sunclaw.
So that means she committed a violent felony.
2 of them.
Yep.
2 strikes.
And let me put in the other one because there was two charges that she was found guilty of. I'll put it. Yep. They both fall under violent felonies. So she committed 2 violent felonies. A court shall, number 2. So the under sentencing. So number 1, both of the charges that she got qualify as a violent felony. Under sentencing, court shall impose a bifurcated sentencing. If the court sentences a person for committing a violent felony and the court finds that all the following are true. A, at the time the person committed the violent felony, he or she was subject to, and it has another statute over here, she possessed a firearm. So it was basically a violent misdemeanor. So it's basically looping back. Damn.
And just so everybody understands, it's not the same charge. A lot of people may think that manslaughter 1 and manslaughter 2 are the same charges. They're very different charges, which is why we're saying they carry 2 different sentences, and they should run concurrent, but we can't say how the judge will lay out her sentence. But we need to understand, and you understand, they are 2 very different charges. The state did not, let me finish that part, Son Claw. What I was saying is the only reason that we're here is because the state believed that they could secure a guilty verdict. We're not here because Dante Wright was black. We're not here because of Black Lives Matter. We're not here because your emotional presence in defund the police and how you might feel about white or black people. We're only here because the prosecutor's office believed that they could secure a guilty verdict. Now, if you understand that, then you can get to the how, what, and the why. If you get beyond emotion and you get down to the mathematics and the minutia, and you start to understand why certain prosecutors would not charge certain police officers in certain shooting deaths of black men, and it was because they did not believe they could secure a guilty verdict. I believe the prosecution understood the sign of the times, the jury pool, that Derek Chauvin had just been found guilty here, that you also had Ahmaud Arbery recently found guilty. I believe they felt like it was in the cards, and it was not in the cards for Kimberly at this time. And they believed that they could secure a guilty verdict. I don't want anyone to be dismayed or think that some social championship was won here. That's not what took place. The only reason this case went to trial is because the district attorney's office believed the state, not a private citizen. You must understand my point in my linking the state, because this was really clarifying, illuminating for me. The state is the person going after Kimberly. Kimberly is a police officer. In Minnesota, it's like a sheriff. These are agents of the state, i.e. her direct boss, the people who wrote the training. This is why they can speak to it so clearly. They knew what Kimberly was trained on because as the state, they were the ones requiring her training. They were the ones requiring she sign off on the taser. The state bought the new tasers. I know what the new taser is. I bought it. I trained you. I gave you your training and assignment and what to do. I'm the state. See, I think a lot of people lost that. And when they get emotional in this case, I don't think they're understanding what took place. That the state is the one who's charging Kim. It's not Black Lives Matter. It's not angry black people. It's not some mob or something like that. The state felt like Kimberly acted outside of her training and did not do the proper things after the shooting death, and that she was trained to do by the state. It is very compelling when it is your boss saying that you are guilty of the crime of murder. Y'all hear what I'm saying? It is not the public. It is the state. The very people who paid, trained, and empowered her to do what she did. Is saying you no longer can do that at that capacity, and you did it criminally. That's what I want you to keep that in mind as you listen to other legal pundits who may interject race and other things that are non-factors. If the state, whether or not she was right or wrong, did not believe that they could secure a guilty verdict, she would have not went to trial. That's America. Whether right or wrong, what Thanos Monday about, Son Claw? Thanos Monday is teaching you men it's not about right or wrong. Son Claw, you got some context for us?
Yes. So I was going through here. What is this?
Wisconsin State Legislature.
Mm-hmm. So this is Shoot, I just forgot what the thing is. Statute 973.123. So what she's been found guilty of is violent felonies. Both of them are violent felonies. One of them is a Class B, and the other one could potentially be a Class D. And even under bifurcated sentencing, this is Section 3. This right here doesn't apply to her. Of Section 2, Part A doesn't apply to her. She did have a firearm, which is this right here. But that's when you illegally have a firearm.
I knew that was going to come into play because her firearm is part of her job. So they're not going
Yeah. So she legally had a firearm, but
similar to Kyle.
She's caught under this part here, Section B. The person uses a firearm in the commission of a violent felony for which the court is imposing the sentence.
Yep.
So she, in this case, in Part B, she can't be charged with a gun violation, with having a possession of an illegal weapon. But they can charge her for using a weapon for the commission of a felony. So that means that for the first charge that she got, not less than 5 years if the violent felony is Class A, Class B, or Class D. And hers fall under, the first one that she got falls under Class B. The second one she got falls under Class D. Both of those carry 5 years. In combination, it would be 10 years. Parole for good behavior. She's not going to get out for less than 5.
Wow.
So there's a prescribed minimum. The minimum is 5 years on each charge.
Wow.
And I don't know if probation applies.
This is not good. Minnesota law is wow. I wouldn't want to go to trial in Minnesota.
And look at where it says over here in Section 4. If the court sentences a person under this section and also imposes a sentence pursuant to, and this is, I think, this might be the firearms violation, but we'll click on this and see where it takes us.
Pursuant to. Does everybody understand what that means?
Yeah, pursuant to that other section.
Yep. Along with.
Arising from the same occurrence, the court shall order the person to serve the sentences.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. You said it earlier. It starts with a C.
Yep.
Ends with a Lee. Ends with a Lee.
Mm-hmm.
God, dog.
But now I have to back out of here
and
see if it applies exactly, because it sends me to another statute, which is over here.
Now listen though. Take this into account, son, Clark. Bifurcated trial. You said there was a subclause for bifurcated trial. Now keep into account that she has had this talk. She knows this because she's an agent of the state. She knows all of this already. When she pulled the trigger, she said, "I'm going to jail." She knew she was going to jail. She knows all of this. She knows Minnesota's convoluted law. This is, oh my God. So now we understand why the bifurcated trial comes in, because all she could do is throw herself on the mercy of the court. All she could do is throw herself on the mercy of the court in the second trial. I said it before. She gets a second at bat, bro. She gets another at bat. Now, everybody could argue and say, well, perfect. It's possible, like Blakely, she can get 20 years. She can get double the time. I haven't seen the judge show that, but that would be extremely surprising. But we don't know what political ambitions the judge has. Shout out to Toya the Tutor, just came in the building. What's up, sis? Kimberly Potter got found guilty of all charges, first-degree manslaughter and second-degree manslaughter. Sunclaw right now got up the Wisconsin State Legislature because, you know, I get to freestyling and talking and shit. So SunClaw like to keep me grounded and rooted.
Yeah,
in real
and I
context.
like to say that I'm not a lawyer, but
Man.
I play one on the perfect time I'm popping.
So SunClaw got us rooted in some real context. Shout out to Art New Style for coming through.
So
Fire
and
panels.
perfect, and I think it's gonna come to the judge's interpretation of the law
That's
on whether she'll have her Kim serve the time consecutively or not, or if it's gonna be concurrently.
And think about mandatory minimums. Think about the road you were going down earlier with the 3-strike law and how my voice got so somber about when I answered you. Yes, I can get struck out in one instance, and they can give me 2 felonies and give me 3 strikes. And then the last crime could be pizza. It wouldn't even have to be a felony. Shit. Think about well, I forgot where I was gonna go with her sentencing. Oh, fuck. I forgot where I was going to go. Go ahead, bro. It'll come back to me.
Yeah, so when I was reading this part, it just had me jump to a different part to see whether the person would have to serve the sentences consecutively. But it took me over here to where it's talking about possession of a firearm.
What does it say about the bifurcated? What could we look forward to with the bifurcated trial? You said you saw something about that.
Yeah. Let's see if I can find that again.
Can the judge give out less?
No, they cannot give out any less
what freedom
than 5 years for any of for each one of those charges.
Even in the bifurcated trial, what does it say?
At the least amount of time that she can get is 10 years. She can get more, but the minimum she can get is 10 years. And the reason I had doubts as to what on what that reporter was saying, that the most she could get at a maximum of 25, she's found guilty of 2 charges. Each one of those charges carries time associated for each one of those 2 charges.
Respectively.
So each one of those charges can have a maximum of 25.
Respectively.
And it's up to the judge whether or not she will have to serve them consecutively or
run them
concurrently. Which means that little difference in wording means 25 or 50.
And this is the thing about the beauty of the bifurcated trial. The defense now gets to argue everything that they wanted to argue about her being 49, and it does play. It does have a weight.
And perfect. And here's the thing: if she gets to serve it consecutively, not consecutively, but concurrently, meaning all at the same time, she can get probation in half of the time.
Yep.
But if she has to serve it consecutively, she's not going to be eligible for probation until she serves the first 25.
Now I remember where I was going to go. Now I remember I was going to go with the 3-strike law. Mandatory sentencing. If you recall, one of the things about mandatory minimums and mandatory sentences, one of the things that they attributed to this prison pipeline and black male incarceration was judges claim that their hands were tied in situations like this. Where what SunClaw is getting at, and which is why they would have argued for a bifurcated trial, is that, and we might have to look in California, I don't know what states it's applicable in, but the judge would have not had a choice, especially with the case being on camera. The sentencing would have had to go a certain way under these previous laws where black men were locked up in abundance, because judges were forced to give life sentences and to run things concurrently, consecutively. Like Plies had the song, "Crackers give a ninja 100 years." 100 years are 3 life sentences.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we talk about this, you know, we getting at the First Step Act in a debate I had on the Mark Nash panel. Shout out to Mark Nash, my good brother. And the debate was about freeing Larry Hoover, and it was a lot of emotion on the debate. And I basically said emotion doesn't come into it. This is a pardon. This is a bill passed by Trump, and individuals have already come home. And the bill basically says, and Sunclaw illuminated to it, not being born in America, that life is only a certain length of time. And because of that, these guys are eligible to come
Perfect.
home.
I have to correct you there.
Go ahead, please.
I was hatched in the United States. I
My bad.
I have to clarify.
My bad. But that's one thing that the bifurcated trial speaks to, of being so weird. Because without that, I don't know, would the judge been forced? Do they have mandatory sentencing laws in Minnesota? Like with this 3-strike law, how we ended up with this overpopulated prison population, you had these mandatory sentencing and mandatory minimums. And where when we're reading these statutes, there wouldn't have been no leeway by the judge. There wouldn't have been no leeway by the judge. The judge would have had to do exactly what Sunclaw read. And a lot of us lost family members because of that. And that changed because the only reason it changed is because we couldn't house any more black men and we couldn't afford to build any more prisons. But this shit's still on the books. So for a bifurcated trial, a lot of the shit you read, I guess it frees up the judge. The judge will have liberty in all these areas. I would want that too, right? Wouldn't you want the judge to have that liberty, being a police officer for 26 years and a 49-year-old woman and mom? Like, especially if the judge can say, look, are y'all gonna try to do a mistrial? And if the defense says something like, if you won't, we won't try this case again. Think about the conversation I'm having with you, Sunclaw. If you blah, 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 I won't try the case again. Because this conversation goes above the judge's head. Now, remember what happened in the Jussie Smollett. You know that fine French actor, Jussie Smollett? He was born in France, but he came to stardom here in America on a show called Zempire. But the French actor, Jussie Smollett, his case went above the judge's head, which is why they got retried. So what if, like you said, how they may have done this to avoid riot, what if they come down on that side? There's a lot of things, there's a lot of ways this could go. There's a lot of ways this could play out. So it's very interesting, man. Oh, if you was done with this, I want to go to the black mayor. So the mayor of Brooklyn City, Brooklyn Center, Brooklyn Center is a black man, and he spoke at a press conference after the guilty verdict. So we want to hear from the black guy. I shouldn't have said that like that. Mayor Crumman, Toya, Mayor Crumman. Mayor Crumman.
Sorry. It just happened. In response to the jury finding former Brooklyn Center police officer Kim Potter guilty of first-degree and second-degree manslaughter, the following statement: today's guilty verdict in the trial of former Brooklyn Center officer Kim Potter for the killing of Dante Wright is an important moment for accountability, but no verdict can deliver true justice to Dante Wright, his family, and his loved ones. True justice is Dante being here with us, with his family, and with his young child. To deliver that life-affirming justice, we must not be content with accountability after this tragedy. We must all fully commit ourselves to creating a city where everyone can thrive, where everyone is safe from police violence. Our community continues to grieve alongside Dante's family and alongside all the families who have lost loved ones to police violence. And the verdict today is an important part of the healing process. But we know that it is not enough by itself. The City of Brooklyn Center is fully committed to implementing the Dante Wright and Kobe Demick-Hasler Community Safety and Violence Prevention Resolution passed by the City Council in May. Fully implementing this transformative resolution will prevent more deaths at the hands of law enforcement and create a community where everyone has the resources and is supported in a way necessary to thrive. It is the best way to honor and to begin delivering justice for Dante Wright and his family. Safe communities are communities where people are invested in, where people thrive. Today, I'm calling on the governor and the state legislature to direct a substantial portion of the state surplus to communities like Brooklyn Center. I am committed to helping build a transformative future here in Brooklyn Center, where our residents are able to thrive and build meaningful lives. We're strong in Brooklyn Center. Our community will heal and we will rebuild together. I, as mayor, am committed to building an economically just community. I believe this is central to creating real and meaningful public safety. We can and we will achieve this ambitious vision by rolling up our sleeves and doing the work of transformative justice rooted firmly in the principles of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for all. Our work is to make those words real. Thank you. Now, there are several individuals and organizations who have been critical to the work done here in Brooklyn Center. The work to respond to the uprising, the rebellion that we saw in the aftermath of the killing of Dante Wright. Several individuals and organizations I want to also recognize and invite up to speak. But before that, I want to recognize our Brooklyn Center City Council Mayor Pro Tem, Marquita Butler, who has been a champion for the work that we're doing here in Brooklyn Center. She has demonstrated leadership, she's demonstrated courage, and without her, none of the work that we're doing here in Brooklyn Center would even be possible. So, Mayor Pro Tem, Madam Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor Elliott. First and foremost, I just want to say my heart goes out to Dante Wright's family, friends, and community. This is a small victory today with the verdict, but definitely we have so much more work to do. Unfortunately, many Black and Brown community members have been impacted negatively by our police department in the past. And as council members, we are committed to ensuring that those type of instances are not going to continue to happen in Brooklyn Center. With the resolution that Mayor Elliott named, we're continuing to work towards progress on implementing that resolution. And I encourage and implore all council members, community members, police department, city officials to come together so that we can get it done. Thank you.
Are y'all watching this? Is this real? And this another beautiful, beautiful, beautiful black woman? What am I watching right now? Is this America? I seen a young brother articulate as a mayor. I don't know what I'm watching. And then the beautiful queen get up there and talk about checking the police, and here comes another beautiful black woman. What the fuck are we watching right now? Oh my, I did not expect to hear what I'm hearing. I'm very happy I'm hearing what I'm hearing. This is amazing.
I had a weird question.
Please. This is weird. What the?
I was looking at him and I said, I said, you look familiar to me.
Is he familiar? What was he? You got something?
Yeah, it's the structure.
You want to bring it
And
up?
it appears I was right. He is from Liberia.
Oh, okay. Okay. The way
And then I was kind of disappointed a little bit because
why?
The people who know the history of Liberia.
Those were slaves from America who started the colony over there, correct?
Yes, and if you knew, they instituted more or less the same bullshit that they were subjected to here over on the people over there.
Wow.
And he came here to the United States after George H.W. Bush changed
some immigration
granted law. Temporary protected status to people fleeing the Civil War in Liberia.
And he is now a mayor of a major American city.
Yep.
This is amazing, bro. This is amazing. I don't know, man. This is amazing.
Yeah, most of the accent is gone, man.
Young black man and a black pro tem female mayor, another black queen about to come up and speak. And oh man, talk about the examples. Oh man.
So he's the first black mayor, non-ADOS, the first black non-ADOS mayor, the first black mayor, because there haven't been any ADOS mayors of that town.
Wow. And the black pro tem mayor. So the vice mayor is black female, and here's more black leadership in the form of a black woman. Let's hear what this beautiful sister got to say.
Good afternoon. My name is Kimberly Armstrong. I'm a civil rights attorney, activist, and founder of the Racial Justice Network. I want to first give thanks and honor to the family of Daunte Wright for allowing our community to walk alongside of them in their pursuit of justice and accountability. We know that this whole process has been a heavy lift. It's caused a lot of grief in their family, knowing that no matter what the outcome was in the court of law, that they will still be without their son, their brother, and Daunte's child will be without his father. However, at the same time, we are grateful for the decision of those members of the jury who looked past all of the shenanigans in the courtroom, who looked past folks who were trying to blame Daunte Wright for his own death, and who at the end of the day saw Daunte's humanity and reached a just verdict by holding Kim Potter accountable under the law, which is exactly what should have happened. The reality is that Daunte Wright never should have been pulled over in the first place. And so it's our hope that today's decision will help to save lives, particularly of young Black people driving through Brooklyn Center, Brooklyn Park, Minneapolis, as well as surrounding suburbs. Because all too often, racial profiling is a major issue. It has been one that has been known in this state for a very long time, and neither of our elected officials on the Democrat or Republican side have taken action to address racial profiling. So we hope that this is a call to action, and we hope that members of law enforcement will think twice before they pull someone over for an air freshener, for expired tabs, or based on a so-called hunch. We deserve to be able to drive through the Twin Cities just as a white resident would. We're thankful for the leadership of Mayor Elliott, who faced quite a bit of backlash for standing on his truth and pushing for justice and accountability.
I just saw something.
What's up?
When was Dante shot? In 2020, 2019?
I'm gonna look it up.
2020, most likely.
2020 death.
You know, I've got a stick in my hand. And I ain't afraid to poke, so I'm going to poke a little bit. Mayor Elliott Mike Elliott was voted in 2018. The shooting happened in 2020. The conviction happened in 2021. And if you get where I'm going, next year is an election year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
His term in office is up in 2022. If he doesn't do all that is needed to be done in order to appease people so that they do not do what happened in other cities, he will not be reelected.
Wow. So he needed this guilty.
Not just the guilty. Look at who he's bringing up.
The black women.
Because what I'm hearing from him is, even though she's guilty, please don't celebrate by burning everything down. Because there are motherfuckers out there who want to celebrate by burning everything down.
We got these programs for y'all. We're going to get y'all some education and some jobs.
Yes. And look, I'm bringing up these black women, and I wouldn't be surprised if he don't bring some representative of BLM up there too.
Probably did.
And that's all I wanted to say. Turtle.
Get back to it.
For the project manager position, it's going to really help shepherd the whole implementation process, and we'll have that position in place as well by the first of the year. And so, beginning early 2020. I'm sorry, say that again. Repeat the question, please. What was your reaction once you heard the verdict? Oh, certainly. Well, I should say that all of us, I think, watching the trial, were keenly interested in justice and in accountability. And I felt that the jury, deliberated for quite some time and was rather thoughtful about all of the information that it received. And I thought that the prosecutors did an important job in presenting the state's case. And I thought that the jury made the right decision in holding the former officer accountable. And I felt that this was an important movement for our city, for our community, for our state. And so I'm greatly relieved. I think that this is also going to go a long way in helping to heal. Let's help the community heal by seeing what accountability looks like in the state of Minnesota.
Mayor, I have a question. As we move forward with this community safety, how will you continue to work with your police department that you have now, and what will that relationship look like going forward?
We're certainly centering the voices of people who have been affected by policing in our community. And that is going to continue to be the case going forward. However, we're going to have a panel of technical experts, including LEAP, which I mentioned earlier, and our police department personnel will also be a part of that technical expertise team, and they will provide information to the implementation committee as it does its work, and as it requires information, as it considers the various models, it will get input from the police department, our police department as well.
One last question for you, Mayor. Do you have, Michelle was kind of talking about what this traffic safety division could look like. Do you have like a definition yet for what kind of non-moving violations we're talking about? I know she gave an example, but if you could elaborate.
Certainly. We get a lot of calls that come in to 911 involving traffic, involving parking issues. So parking issues will certainly be one of those. And the model really has to be flushed out through the work of the implementation committee. But, one could envision, a civilian traffic response team responding to, fender benders, or where there are accidents and, there isn't a life-threatening situation perhaps, or, all of the details really need to be flushed out. Could be that they're mailing, if they see a tab that's expired, they're able to send something in the mail that says you need to renew your tabs. But all of those details need to be worked out in accordance with Minnesota law, right? In Minnesota, you have to be a licensed peace officer in order to pull a vehicle over. So they're not necessarily going to be pulling vehicles over, but they'll be able to do, I think, a significant amount of traffic safety work, that police currently do.
Said at the podium today that you're kind of breaking away from the old way and making a new way now. And it was also said that a lot of people are looking at what's happening in Minnesota and kind of learning from what you're going through, and then also the plans that you're putting in place for the future. I'm curious to know if you've had the conversations with folks from around the country, different communities that are kind of looking at the plans that are in here or are going to be in place now and saying, could this work for us in our community too? If so, can you share that?
Certainly. We're in communication and conversations with communities all around the country that are interested in the work that we're doing here in Brooklyn Center to transform public safety. Evanston, Illinois is a community that actively is specifically looking at our resolution and working to pass, a version for their own community. There are a number of communities that I've been in contact with that are looking at the Brooklyn Center model, and including there's some communities around here in Minnesota as well that are looking at various, parts of what we're doing, but it's one of those things, right? As they say, change is hard. You go first.
I'd just like to ask a quick question to Dr. Kimberly Armstrong. She made a post about Kim Porter when she was in the courtroom, crying, if you will, crocodile tears. Now we're seeing as their photos going viral, she's smiling during her booking. So what do you have to say about that?
I think that it's despicable to see Kim Potter smiling in a new mugshot, knowing the harm that she has inflicted upon the Wright family by unjustly taking their loved one. I also was very concerned about her performance in the courtroom and that the tears that she shed were not on behalf of Dante Wright. The tears were about herself and the fact that she was at risk of going to prison. I hope that other law enforcement officers learn from this experience of what happened with Kim Potter, and knowing that there is a possibility that they will be held accountable under the law if they violate people's rights, as what we saw happen in this case. Any other questions? Thank you all.
That was amazing. That was the mayor and the vice mayor and another legal lawyer, all representing Brooklyn Center City. Wow, wow, wow. Applause, 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 applause. So they have a special program. When we first started this, we talked about how the 15 officers had been let go at that force, at that police force, and they had the feds come in and do an investigation. They spoke to something called LEAP, and they spoke to whatever he's implemented being modeled in other cities. So, Son Claude, you're right. This guy has ambitions. Now, you remember Pete Buttigieg? Anybody remember Pete Buttigieg? Pete Buttigieg was a Lucky Charms mayor from the Midwest who ran for president after becoming mayor simply because he was from the Lucky Charms community. He garnered national notoriety for being mayor and getting married and adopting a baby. He didn't win the president, but because he's from the Lucky Charm community, Biden made him part of the cabinet, his presidential cabinet. And Pete Buttigieg is the transportation secretary or the energy. I think the energy secretary. I think he might be the energy secretary, one of those. But he went on vacation. He took family leave when we had the storm in Texas. So that just lets you know what a political opportunity this could be. Our son Claude was alluding to his political ambitions and how that could play out for somebody like him. People might say, oh, he's just a mayor. Well, to that, I say to you, Pete Buttigieg. Now I got a video of the fam bam. I got a video of the family and the family's reaction after the verdict. That's pretty impressive that whatever he's implemented in the city, unfortunately, he had learned a lesson that Mama Shirley taught of cleaning up behind your mess, and when you make a mistake and you make amends and you are accountable, and he's doing that. He's taking full accountability of what took place in his city. He's implemented change. He's not covering up for the police or the prosecution in this area. Everybody is on the same accord. The prosecution office, which is a tool of the mayor, you know what I'm saying, and the state seems to be on board with the city and the prosecution. So this is wow, it's extremely impressive because I don't know America to really work this way, and I don't really see representation from people of color like this. So yeah, it's impressive. It really is impressive. This is he was a former head of the DNC. He's also a Muslim congressman, and I forget what his role is now. If I forget his name, if you guys recall, I know a lot about this guy, and I apologize for not remembering your name, brother. But I have followed him for a long time because he was one of the few people at Capitol Hill that would speak honestly like the previous mayor spoke. And he actually was a Muslim, a proud Muslim, friends with Farrakhan, and he took a lot of flack for that. And he elevated to leadership within the Democratic Party. And when he finally got that leadership role, something happened, and I don't know if he's still in the Congress in the same capacity. What does Dante Wright father got on? Y'all see this? My God.
Standards. We don't want you to be discouraged. Your community respects and appreciates you. We want you to uphold the highest ideals of our society and ideals of safety. And when a member of your profession is held accountable, it does not diminish you. In fact, it shows. It shows the whole world that those of you who enforce the law are also willing to live by it. And that's a good thing. It restores trust, faith, and hope.
I want to ask you guys, we were sitting right in front of you, but what were you feeling when you heard the word guilty? And what are you feeling now? Have you processed it? What's going through your head and heart right now?
Oh my gosh. The moment that we heard guilty on the manslaughter one, emotions, every single emotion that you could imagine just running through your body at that moment. I kind of let out a yelp because it was built up in the anticipation of what was to come while we were waiting for the last few days. And now we've been able to process it. Um, we want to thank the entire prosecution team. We want to thank community support, everybody who's been out there that has supported us in this long fight for accountability.
What did you think of Ms. Potter when she was on the stand last week?
I'd rather not answer that question.
Well, the truth be told, what do I think? I want to thank her. I'm going to keep it short.
Mr. Elton, did you expect Officer Potter, former Officer Potter, to take the stand? And do you think that helped or hurt your case?
They said from the very beginning that she was going to testify. They said in jury selection. And she expressed herself immediately after this tragic incident on the scene. So I'm not too surprised. Look, it's a lot. I think that it's a good sign that she was remorseful. I mean, what decent person wouldn't be brokenhearted and sad if they were involved in something like this? So for her, I wish nothing but
Okay, perfect. Were you saying something? Okay, perfect. Man, oh man. I can't imagine what that's like. I can, but I don't want to. Imagine what it's like at this time of year, especially this time of year, to have that trial go on at this time of year. Yeah, at this time of year was when the person who shot our son was found guilty. At this time of year is when you think about that one spot at the table that's empty. At this time of year is that you remember that that person who you normally give a gift to isn't there anymore. That's what happens at this time of year. I'm sure they're happy about the verdict, but I don't think they're happy about that reason that they're at that courthouse today. It's because their son is gone. Their son is gone. I think the only consolation that they have is that at least she will not be with her family this Christmas since they cannot be with their son. It's tragic, isn't it? I was joking earlier about people after the holiday celebration and after all the merrymaking and being with family and partying at Christmas and then at New Year. That after New Year, they're not going to remember. I don't think they're going to remember after New Year's. Hell, I think some of them won't remember after tomorrow. Because for them, it's said and done. Um, and now what's going through my head is Dante's mom at that press conference was the same woman who was so distraught at the scene. You never expect for your son to leave your house and not come home alive. That's the biggest fear of a parent. I'm not even a parent, and I know that's the biggest fear. That's the biggest fear I would have if I had a child. That they would go before I go. That they would leave home and say, "See you later, Dad." And you wouldn't see them again. with breath in their lungs. Was the verdict the right verdict? I think so. But it doesn't bring that person who was lost back. Justice has been served, but he's not back. He said he'd be back. He said, see you later. But this verdict isn't going to let you see him later like he said he would. You see, we see it from one side, we see it from the other side. We say, oh, it was a mistake, it was this, it was that, it was the other. And once you remove all the frills from it, a son is not coming home. A mother is not going to see her son. Or maybe I should rephrase it. Two mothers are not going to see their sons. In one case, one is not going to see their son alive. In the other case, she's not going to see her son without a piece of glass in between. Now, right now, I'm over here looking at the poll. The poll, did the jury make the right decision? It still sits at 83 yes and 83% yes and 17% said no. Well, Ken, I think Perfect fell off. And I'm over here trying to munch on my Doritos, which is basically just a pizza in a different shape and form. And instead of it being soft and ooey gooey and cheesy, it's hard, crunchy, and still cheesy. But man, this is. I was a little bit worried about the whole verdict thing with this case. I was thinking that maybe they weren't going to find her guilty because I was wondering, man, what's taking them so long? It's already the 23rd. I thought they would have came in with the verdict yesterday. And the longer it dragged on, the more I thought, man, maybe they're going to go the other way. I hope not. Dang, Ken. Yeah, I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure. Anyway, Ken, I was going to ask you, which way did you vote on the poll? When I first saw that poll, did the jury make the right decision? I wish in a different world, I wouldn't have charged her with the charges that they put on her of what is this, of reckless homicide or involuntary manslaughter. Nah, I was more leaning to they should have gone for the first degree murder. In my heart of hearts, I think they should have gone for first degree murder. And I think the only reason they went with reckless homicide is because they thought that they wouldn't be able to get her for it. You see, earlier I had said that she had absolutely no intention of pulling for the taser if she ever in the line of duty needed a taser because she didn't trust it. So that would mean that she always had the intention to kill. And if she always had the intention to kill, I thought that was murder. Not that she didn't mean to kill somebody. I think she always did intend to kill somebody if she ever had to use a taser. She didn't trust it. She trained her reflexes, she trained her body that whenever she needed a taser, she was going to pull that Glock. She did all the actions too and said, taser, taser, taser. I saw the video. And yet I saw you pull out a Glock. How are you going to scream, taser, 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 and still pull out that Glock? You trained yourself to do it. You knew what side of the body your gun was on, and you knew what side of the body your taser was on. If I need to pull out a gun, I'll pull out my Glock. If I need to pull out a taser, it's going to be the Glock. If I need to get a kitten out of a tree, I'll stop right there. I don't want Peter to come after me. There's a saying that for a man with a hammer, every problem becomes a nail. And in this case, to a woman with a Glock, every problem has to be shot. Yes, I said it. I don't know, Ken. I had a little bit of Johnny Cochran come into me for there for a second. To a woman with a Glock, every problem must be shot. Because I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to be misogynistic. I'm just being a realist here. If I were in her position, if I were her age, her stature, her weight, would I ever trust a taser knowing that the thing could fail? Knowing that the thing could fail, not in that it wouldn't work, it wouldn't do what I wanted it to do, which is solve my problem, which is stop what I think is the problem. But guess what the Glock is really good at doing? It's good at stopping the problem. And the thing is that there are certain situations where she could have found herself in that she wouldn't have the time. She would not have the time to get the Glock out if that taser failed. So basically, if that taser fails, I need to try and hope I have enough time to reach the Glock so I can protect myself. Hope. Hope you have enough time to reach the Glock in case the taser fails. That leaves a lot of uncertainty. Why not just skip that taser step and just go straight to the Glock? Then, if something happens, you don't need to go ahead and reach for the Glock because the taser didn't fail because you already got the Glock in your hand. Makes sense, don't it? Some people say, yeah, if I were in her position, I would have done differently. I would. You weren't in her position. You weren't in her position. She trained herself that if she ever needed to use a Glock, a taser, she would pull out the Glock. She trained her body so thoroughly and so rigorously that whenever the word taser crossed her mind, the image of taser was replaced with a Glock. The feel of a taser was replaced with a Glock. Her reaching down with her left hand in order to get her taser was replaced with her right hand reaching for a Glock. The weight of the taser was replaced with the weight of a Glock. The bright yellow color of the taser in her mind was replaced with the Glock. So when the incident happened, and she said, I need to do something, I need to pull out my taser. And in her mind, and with her reflexes, she did exactly what she had trained herself to do, what she had practiced to do. And that's why it seemed so natural when she was screaming, taser, 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 to pull out her Glock. Because the taser to her was just that, the Glock. That's why I think they shouldn't have found her guilty on these charges. They should have gotten her for murder one. But if you can't find her guilty for murder one, I'll settle for the charges that she was found guilty of today. But I still think that the charges that they should have found her guilty of should have been greater charges. Even though I said that if I found myself in her position, in her situation, I could understand exactly where she was coming from. But because I could understand exactly where she was coming from, she knew what the consequences were. Because in that line of thinking is, I don't want to die at work. I don't want to end up fucked up because of work. At the end of the day, I want to go home to my family alive. And these were the choices that she made a long time ago. It wasn't even that day that she shot him. That was the decision that she had arrived at, that she had settled on. And that decision that she had made drove her behavior on that particular day. Didn't anybody find it curious when all these police officers were being questioned, and even the police chief said, well, she must have intended to pull out the taser because she yelled, taser, 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 which is what we do according to procedure. But she pulled out a Glock. And you missed it. You missed when they said that. They're saying the same thing I'm saying. But she pulled out the Glock when she was yelling, taser, taser, taser. And that's what you do when you're supposed to pull out the taser. But she pulled out the Glock. She must have made a mistake, right? Right? Does a bear shit in the woods? No, a bear does not shit in the woods. Not when it's locked up at the zoo. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream since I don't know if Perfect is going to be back. But it's been nice speaking to y'all. Um, what I will say about these last couple of cases that Perfect has covered, I find it really interesting that the prosecution has not really been focused on the race of the victims. Because I think that if they had been too focused on the race of the people who were shot, that things would have gone the other way. Because as Don King used to say, only in America. Only in America could you have had it go the other way. And we've had it go the other way many times in this great nation of ours. But I think the prosecution knew that that was the case and they didn't focus on the race because they just wanted to focus on what really happened here. Take everything else out of here and what happened here. Anyway, y'all have a good evening. And to those who are still out there on the roads, have a safe drive home. Those who are on the road to visit their family members, have a safe drive. Be careful out there, stay safe, and peace.